She's always been this way. She doesn't care too much about such things, the female editor answered carefully. This is great. Delmar clapped his hands and hugged the female editor, laughing heartily. He generously said, "From today on, you're the chief editor. I'll make the arrangements once we get back. Your pay will be doubled from next month on." "Thank you, boss." The female editor was red with excitement. She didn't expect to get a promotion when she was so close to getting fired. Delmar closed his eyes and began planning the details for tomorrow's contract signing. Even though he only had a verbal agreement with Cynthia, her book was still in his hands. She had to listen to him if she wanted to make money. Cyril had already agreed to be the guarantor and the sequels were secured. This business deal was considered done. Mag met Cynthia again at the motel. She had gathered her stuff to stay at the motel again. "I have already done as you said," Cynthia said to Mag with an evading gaze and a slight blush. This was the first time that she was alone with Boss Mag in a small room and it made her heart race. Mag nodded slightly and said, "Very good. I'll come and find you when I need you. You'd better put on a disguise before you go out in the next 2 days. Don't let anyone recognize you or find you." "Sure," Cynthia answered softly. She hesitated for a moment as she watched Mag, who was about to open the door and leave. Finally, she couldn't help but ask, "Boss Mag, can I still go to Mamie restaurant after this matter blows over?" "This matter will not end so quickly." Mag glanced at her and smiled before leaving without a backward glance. Cynthia was stunned and remained frozen. She still couldn't figure out Mag's meaning after thinking for a long time. Perhaps Boss Mag wants to use this matter as a threat and make me be his CYN? A small motel, nobody knows, unable to venture out. Isn't this the captivity trope? Mag didn't know that the girl would imagine so much rubbish. He could only think that someone was going to have a headache over going bankrupt at this time tomorrow morning. He wasn't very good at commercial war, but it was still in his blood. He heard about those tricks when the old fogies talked about them when they were drunk. He could easily toy with these fellows with these tricks. Yabimiya and the ladies came early in the morning and they crowded around Mag as soon as they saw him come back. They asked him with concern, "Boss, what should we do now? The rumors are getting out of hand. Should we explain?" "Don't worry. It's just a small matter. I've already contacted the author and she agreed to write a letter of apology to clarify all these rumors," Mag said with a relaxed smile. "You met the author, Northwestern Lone Wolf? Is it a man or a woman? Is it the restaurant's regular? It must be a female? CYN. Is she pretty? Or should I say handsome?" The ladies were excited, but Mag was rather exasperated by their focus. "I say, why are you all so interested in an author?" Mag rolled his eyes. "It's a guy. He's a 40-year-old man who has dug in between his feet." "Wah? Why? My imaginations are dashed. I never expected that it wasn't a pretty young lady, but a foot-digging man who wrote such a delicate book." The ladies were disappointed and they lost interest immediately. Angela said as she looked at Mag with a weird expression, "But boss, I admire your charisma even more now. What kind of mesmerizing charisma can make a 40-plus man write such an intricate novel? It's really jaw-dropping." Mag gave her the side eye. He didn't want to answer the question. "This matter will be put to rest after the author speaks up. Those gossip-mongers have gone overboard. They simply want our restaurant to be scandalized and then go downhill from there," Yabimiya said angrily. "Even if the customers leave because of the scandal, they won't be going over to their place either." Mag shook his head with a smile. He went into the kitchen to prepare for tonight's dinner service. "Firas, come here. I'll teach you how to knead the noodle dough," Mag shouted from the kitchen. "Coming." Firas dashed into the kitchen with excitement all over her face. She finally had the chance to unlock a new skill again. Mag brought along Irina, who was disguised as his secretary, and met Cyril at Delmar Publishing House as he had expected at 10 a.m. the next morning. Irina took out the contract and let Delmar and Cyril confirm again. Delmar scanned through the contract, but he double-checked the amount to make sure the contract was correct. Cyril didn't even bother to take a look. He asked Mag directly, "Are you guys really going to print 1 million copies?" Mag looked at him and curved his lips. He nodded with a smile. "Yes. All right. You guys have to make sure that you sell all of them, so that the story of this jerk and slut can spread throughout the Norland continent." Cyril's smile became even more smug. "This is a work of literature," Mag said calmly. Delmar was afraid that Cyril might antagonize Mag, so he quickly interrupted. "Yes, yes, yes. This is an excellent work of literature. Mr. Lev, we have checked this contract. There's no problem, so let's sign the contract now." "All right." Mag nodded. Irina passed a pen to him. He signed the contract and put his thumbprint after his name. Delmar and his guarantor, Cyril, also signed and put their thumbprints after their names. The contract has 3 identical contracts. "Let's keep one each." Mag kept one contract and snapped his fingers. Irina took out a banknote and gave it to them. "This is a 5 million copper coin banknote. It's the first payment of the licensing fee." Mag pushed the banknote to Delmar, stood up and extended his right hand. "Happy collaboration, Mr. Delmar." "Happy collaboration, Mr. Leviticus." Delmar shook Mag's hand with a big smile. He took the banknote and checked it carefully before filling out a receipt and giving it to Mag. Cyril was watching enviously at the side. 5 million copper coins were earned so easily. This was indeed a good business. Mag left with Irina. The wind blew when they went out of the door. The willow branches were swaying and the catkins were flying. "This scene is really great for a funeral send-off." Mag smiled coldly. With Boss Mag's indecent little wife's popularity, the name Northwestern Lone Wolf also became very influential. When everyone saw the apology letter, there was a fervent discussion immediately. "The novelist is refuting all rumors. This novel is fiction. We were overthinking it. I knew it, Boss Mag is such an outstanding person. How could he do something like that? It's ridiculous. Boss Mag isn't someone like that. In that case, I have no chance at all then." The credibility of the apology letter was very high. It also reminded everyone that it was a joke to think of a novel as reality. The news spread quickly to Delmar, who was drinking in a restaurant with Cyril. "What?" The wine glass in Delmar's hand dropped to the ground. He snatched the report from his secretary's hands and looked at the apology letter printed in the headlines. His face turned white as a sheet immediately. "What's wrong?" Cyril lifted his head from the depths of several warm embraces as he looked at Delmar curiously. "We're done for, done for." Delmar sat on the chair as he said with a shaking voice, "Northwestern Lone Wolf said that she's not writing anymore." "Who is not writing? What's going on?" Cyril pushed the women on him away after noticing that Delmar did not look too good. "Take a look for yourself. This is the author of that book. She said she's not writing that book anymore." Delmar passed him the newspaper in his hands. Cyril received it, took a look, and said with a smile, "She's just a writer. If she doesn't write, we'll find another one. Can't we live without her? We really can't do it without her." Delmar looked at Cyril with a long face. "Without her, we would be breaching the contract." "Breach?" Cyril's voice grew sharper. He suddenly realized the seriousness of the situation and quickly snatched the contract from his assistant. He flipped over to the page with the contract terms for a breach and his face turned pale immediately. "Delmar, how dare you f***ing do me in?" Cyril grabbed a wine glass and threw it right in Delmar's face. Delmar did not manage to avoid it. He covered his nose, which was bleeding profusely, as he said, "Lord Cyril, you've wronged me. I I'm a victim too. You signed the contract this morning, and now breached it, and have to pay 3F** times the contract price. How much is that? That's 60 million copper coins. You made me be your guarantor and that means I'll have to pay 30 million. You scoundrel, you're so wicked. Cyril was hopping mad and his face blushed with fury. He knew that the contract was written in black and white and he had signed his name. This meant that there was no way he could run. I didn't know that B***TCH would cheat me. She told me yesterday that she would continue writing. Who knew she would stab me in the back today? Delmar was also shaking with rage. I am going to look for her right now to write another clarification note stating that the apology letter is fake. I'll then go over to Mr. Leff and explain it to him. I think we should be able to salvage the situation. You'd better salvage it. Otherwise, I'll see that you will not be able to survive in Chaos City. Cyril flipped the table and left in a fury. Delmar quickly went downstairs to his horse-drawn carriage to head towards Cynthia's place. There was a huge padlock on the door and the courtyard was deathly silent. Delmar kicked the door for a while but there were no signs of movement inside at all. He leaned against the door and slid down onto the ground as his face grew pale. He knew that he was done for. 30 million copper coins was an amount he would not be able to fork out even if he sold the company. Boss. His secretary came up to him nervously. Delmar looked at him and his eyes lit up. He said, "Help me up, we're going back to the company." The company had just received a sum of money. In addition to the amount that he already had, that was about 5 million. On top of that, he received a 5 million banknote in the morning and that would be enough for his family for the rest of their lives. It was just a pity that the company he slogged his whole life to establish would be gone. He initially thought that the sudden popularity of the book would become his money-making tree but he did not expect the tree to fall after just 2 days. However, that's all right. He would go back to the company to retrieve his money before bringing his family alongside him to flee the city. He shall leave Cyril to bear the consequences since he was the guarantor. Delmar's horse-drawn carriage stopped in front of the publishing house. Delmar jumped down from the horse-drawn carriage and rushed to the office. In no time at all, he rushed back out with a briefcase in his hands. However, just when he reached the horse-drawn carriage, 2 hands landed on his shoulders. Delmar jumped and turned around to see 2 officers in uniform. His face turned pale. "Are you Mr. Delmar? We have received a report. You are suspected of contract fraud and there is a possibility that you might flee. To ensure the security of the victim's assets, we would have to bring you back to the City Lord's castle for further investigation. Please cooperate with us," said one officer. I was wronged, Delmar shouted. The commotion outside had attracted the attention of the workers in the publishing house. They rushed out to watch what was happening at the door. When they saw their boss being nabbed by the officers from the City Lord's castle, they were all stunned. Is the control over the publishing of lewd novels so strict now? Bring him away. The 2 officers could not be bothered with Delmar's nonsense and brought him with them into the prisoner's carriage. On the other side, Cyril had returned to Moreton Manor. The more he thought about it, the more flustered he got. He hid in his room and got someone to watch the door. If anyone asked, his servants were to say that he was ill and that he would not be meeting anyone. However, that did not stop the officers with the detention order from arresting him. "I did nothing, why are you arresting me? This is Moreton Manor. You can't do whatever you like." Cyril howled at the top of his lungs. "Cyril, you're suspected of fraud with a large sum of money involved. You're now being brought back to the City Lord's castle for investigation. Please cooperate with us," the leader of the officers, who took out the detention order, said. The people in the Moreton family had already gathered in the courtyard, discussing the situation. However, when they saw the officer holding on to the detention order, no one dared to step up. They had no idea how Cyril got himself into trouble again, and it was so serious that the people from the city lord's castle had to come over to arrest him. "Who dares to touch my son?" a shrill voice sounded. Madame Denise walked over with a crutch in her hand and stood in front of Cyril. "Madame Denise, please cooperate with us. Otherwise, we would have to arrest you for obstruction of justice," one officer said seriously. They did not step back just because Denise had arrived. "I'll see if you dare," Denise taunted. "Bring her away." The officer waved his hand and 4 officers came over. Denise grabbed the hand of one officer while scratching his face and calling out to the servants at the side, "They're hitting me. The officers are hitting me. What are you looking at? Come and protect me and young master." The servants exchanged gazes and were not sure if they should do something. They were the officers from the city lord's castle. "Those who dare not step forward will be expelled from the Moreton family," Denise threatened. The servants had no choice but to go over. "Who dares?" an angry shout thundered around the courtyard. There was a sudden silence and everyone moved away to make a path. Geoffrey walked over and looked at Cyril and Denise coldly. "Father, save me," Cyril said in a fluster, "they are arresting me for no reason. I was wronged." Smack! A loud slap echoed around and Cyril's cheek swelled up immediately. Cyril was terrified. He didn't know what to say and could only seek help from Denise at the side. "Master, you have to help our son. He's innocent. He would never dare to break the laws." Denise stepped forward and pleaded as she wept. "Please talk to the city lord. Ask him not to arrest Cyril." Slap! Geoffrey gave another resounding slap again. This time, the slap landed on Denise's face. The servants in the yard widened their eyes when they saw that. They quickly looked away and avoided looking at the scene. Cyril was stunned too. His heart turned cold when he looked at Denise, whose mouth was wide open from the slap, and Geoffrey, who had a cold expression. Madame Denise was in a daze for a while before she regained her wits. She covered her cheek and stared at Geoffrey in disbelief. Her voice became shrill as she howled, "Why you hit me? An overprotective mother makes a wastrel. If you hadn't spoiled him so, he wouldn't have turned out this way today. Yet, you're still not repenting and even tried to help him weasel his way out. How am I going to correct the family's ways if I don't hit you?" Geoffrey looked at her coldly. "You heartless rat! You hit your wife at such an advanced age. If my maternal family hadn't helped you back then, would you have this fortune today? Are you hitting me because I'm old now and you want to kill me so that you can remarry a younger woman, is that it? Let me tell you, it's not going to be that easy. Today, Denise sat on the floor and began to throw a tantrum. Geoffrey didn't even look at her. He simply gave the order coldly. "Bring her away." Although the few old lady servants looked conflicted, they didn't dare to disobey the master. After all, they didn't want to be slapped too. They carried and dragged Denise away. "You caused the trouble, so handle it yourself. This time, nobody is going to clean up your mess." Geoffrey flicked a glance at Cyril and then nodded to the city lord's castle's officers at the side before leaving. "Father!" Cyril chased after him in a panic, but 2 officers grabbed his shoulders on both sides. "Young Master Cyril, please come with us," the leading officer said with a smile before waving his hand and dragging Cyril away. The servants made way for them. No matter how Cyril screamed, nobody went forward to stop them. Even though they had no idea what Cyril did, everyone had reached the same consensus inwardly. Young Master Cyril was completely finished. Young Mistress Gloria would be in charge of this family in the future. The 2 criminals were brought to the city lord's castle. Mag, who had disguised himself, and Cynthia, who was the witness, turned up at the city lord's castle too. The judge of the case was Dicus, Mag's old friend. As for why the city lord's castle was so efficient, it was because Mag had informed Dicus and Dicus had reported to Michael. Hence, they were arrested as soon as the report was submitted. Cyril and Delmar had their statements taken separately. Under the supervision of the spiritual magic casters, the two normal humans couldn't lie. They told the truth honestly. The case was very simple. It was just a case of breach of contract. As long as they could pay the penalty, the punishment wouldn't be severe. However, the sum was huge, so the two of them were arrested in advance. Dicus read their statements and verified them with the contract that Mag provided. He nodded and said, "The case is very clear. You two signed the contract with Lef. You have undertaken the responsibility in the case of breach of contract and have appointed a guarantor to share the responsibility. Now, Mr. Lef has provided evidence that the author refused to continue writing the novel and requested to have it removed from the shelves. This is a complete breach of contract. There is fraud in the promise that you two made. Now Mr. Lef requests to terminate the contract and seek compensation of 60 million copper coins. B*TCH. You play me. You said you will continue writing." Delmar pointed and roared at Cynthia in the witness stand angrily. "I clearly informed you about my stance at the publishing house yesterday morning. Many people in your company heard our conversation and argument. As for your agreement, I have no idea about it. You can list the actual evidence," Cynthia said calmly. "You lied. You said it." Delmar grabbed the railing till his knuckles turned white and green veins popped up on his forehead. 60 million copper coins. It would be 30 million copper coins if Cyril and him split it in half. He couldn't afford the compensation even if he sold the publishing house. "We're in court." "Silence!" Dicus shouted coldly. Cyril looked at Delmar and his heart turned cold. Even to the Moreton family, 30 million copper coins was quite a big sum of circulating funds. To him, it was a sum that he simply couldn't afford. If it was in the past, he might still think that his father would help him. However, Geoffrey had already clearly told him today that he wouldn't help him in this matter. Where was he going to look for 30 million coins from? "My lord. I have nothing to do with this, my lord. I was duped into signing. I didn't get anything from it. I have nothing to do with this matter. I shouldn't have to undertake the responsibility, right?" Cyril said to Dicus. "Isn't this written in black and white? You are the guarantor. You undertook half of the responsibility, so you have to pay half of this compensation." Dicus flicked a glance at him and smilingly said, "Furthermore, you didn't get nothing from it. Your statements have stated that Delmar promised you 5 million copper coins as a reward. You were going to receive benefits from it, so you have to bear the risk." Cyril went white. He pointed at Delmar and Mag. They scammed me together. Why would there be such a coincidence? I only signed the contract in the morning and have already breached the contract before I received the money. My lord, I have been tricked. I'm the one who was scammed." Dicus ignored him and passed his judgment directly. "This case is very simple and the evidence is clear. Delmar and Cyril breached the contract and attempted to commit fraud. They have to pay Lef 60 million copper coins according to the contract. They will split the compensation in half and pay 30 million copper coins each. Due to the huge sum, we will lock the two of you up first. Get your family members to deliver the compensation to the city lord's castle. You will be released after you pay the compensation and receive the victim's forgiveness. If you can't repay the compensation, you will be punished according to the balance. My lord is wise." Mag smiled and cupped his hands together. The rest would be done by the city lord's castle. They would freeze Delmar and Cyril's assets. Their assets would be auctioned off if they couldn't pay the compensation. This trick of gaining something without any risks had let Mag earn 60 million and resolved the misunderstanding. It solved many issues in one go. Mag met Cynthia in the motel's room. Did you arrange all that?" Cynthia looked at Mag with admiration. If she had previously liked Mag for his dishes and gentle personality, she had seen a wise and smart businessman in the past 2 days. A wily old fox like Delmar and a rogue like Cyril had both suffered a defeat in his hands. 30 million copper coins. What a great sum of money! Delmar was definitely going to go bankrupt. As for Cyril, she had heard that the Moreton family was wealthy. It would depend if they were willing to fork out the money to save him. You did a great job in coordination. Mag nodded with a smile. Cynthia blushed and said softly to Mag, then, regarding the novel that I wrote about you, is it considered over? I'm afraid it's not that simple. Mag shook his head and said to Cynthia, you have to pay some sort of price for making a mistake, am I right? Cynthia bit her lower lips. She was just an innocent little writer. What could she pay him with? Those few copper coins on her were perhaps worthless to him. She had already issued the apology letter and was the witness. Wasn't that enough for him to let her off? Looking at Mag, who had gotten up to close the windows, her heart dropped and she became nervous. Why was he closing the windows? Was he afraid that the weird noises could get out? What was he going to do? But, it was bright daylight right now. Come on. Cynthia laid on the bed and spread out her arms. Tears flowed down her cheeks. She did all of it so smoothly that she shocked herself. Furthermore, why was she not feeling aggrieved or sad? Instead, she was feeling a little expectant. She remembered it now. In the book, Cyn also had her first rendezvous with Boss Mag in the motel. As she thought about how the scenario that she had been replaying over and over in her mind was going to happen to her right now, Cynthia blushed and hastened her breathing. This is my first time. Please be gentle with me, she said softly. What are you doing? Mag stood next to the bed with a contract. He looked at Cynthia, who was lying on the bed with her legs spread out with an unknown blush and tears in her eyes, and perplexedly asked, what first time? Cynthia jerked her head up and looked at Mag, who was standing by the bed and holding a document and not a whip in his hands. Staring at his decent form, he didn't look like he was going to pounce onto her like in the book's scenario. After being in a daze for a while, she suddenly realized that she was mistaken. She quickly shut her legs and sat up on the bed. That, I was saying I. Cynthia was blushing furiously and her gaze moved around. Suddenly, she stared at the document in Mag's hand and asked, what's that? Oh, this is a contract. Take a look. Sign it if there is no problem. Mag passed the document over to her. Sign this and our feud is considered over. Cynthia's heart dropped to her stomach again. Contract? Why did she need to sign a contract? When she recalled how Delmar and Cyril were tricked and sent to the jail by Mag with a contract, Cynthia panicked even more. She looked closer and revealed an expression of shock. This was a contract of commissioned creation. It was similar to the contract that she signed with Delmar Publishing House previously. The contract stated that Mag had commissioned her to create 5 works and the right of each piece of work would be purchased with 200,000 copper coins. After completing these 5 pieces of work, she could terminate the contract at any time without any restrictions. However, there were prerequisites for these 5 pieces. Mag would provide the framework and Cynthia would do the improvisation. The price of 200,000 copper coins for each book was a handsome remuneration for Cynthia. Normally, she only needed 2 months to complete a piece of work, so this was a project that could earn her 1 million each year. However, with Delmar as an example, Cynthia read through the contract very seriously to make sure that there was no term that could bankrupt her and even cause her to lose her innocence. She still asked with uncertainty, there's no hidden clauses, right? Don't worry. I'm sincerely looking for a partner. I won't do that kind of thing. Mag nodded with a smile. Why me? Cynthia still couldn't understand. Mag shouldn't like her, so why was he giving her this chance to earn money? I'm interested in your talents, so don't overthink. Mag consoled her. He was afraid this maiden would get the wrong ideas. Just my talents? What about my youthful and beautiful body? Cynthia almost blurted out what she was thinking. She held her words back and nodded. You have good taste. Cynthia had no choice but to choose to get rich and sign the contract. This is the prepayment. You may go home now. Don't move from your home to Elsewhere. I'll go look for you when I come up with the storyline. Mag gave her a 100,000 copper coin banknote. Thank you, boss. Cynthia took the banknote happily. She actually had the feeling of being kept, so she said, please come often. Mag, who had reached the door, almost fell. This line, why did it sound so familiar? Mag felt relaxed all over on his way back to the restaurant. The rumor incident was over and the rubbish novels on the market would be taken off the market for the moment. He even managed to get Cyril jailed. That was killing a lot of birds with one stone. Even if he couldn't get all 60 million copper coins back, the amount he would receive would be enough for Hope School to build a few more teaching buildings. This plot has been reversed far too quickly. We were still scolding Boss Mag for being a jerk yesterday, and yet today the rumors were dispelled. Furthermore, the boss of the publishing house was even locked up. Vivian was holding onto the newspaper with a conflicted expression. How should I explain this to Luna now? I just told her that Boss Mag was a jerk yesterday and it's fine to say goodbye to him. In order to take care of Luna's feelings, she had done all she could. But, this world had never taken her feelings into consideration. However, Boss Mag is really capable. He sent the publishing house's boss straight to jail. I guess no one will dare to spread rumors easily now, Vivian thought. Other than Boss Mag, no one would toy with that publishing house's boss. Some said that the boss of Mamie Restaurant had acted. He sued Del Mar for libel and got him locked up. As for Cyril, people in the publishing circle knew about what he had done to that book. Hence, it wasn't surprising that he was locked up as well. Some said this matter wasn't related to Boss Mag but that an extraordinary man from Rodo had tricked the two of them and sent them into jail. They were also bankrupted by the compensation and their lives were considered over. Anyway, the rumors were all connected to Boss Mag's indecent little wife. This made the people in the publishing circle lament. It was hard for a publishing house to have a popular item. A small publishing house like Del Mar could survive for years with one popular book. They didn't expect it to bring disaster upon them instead. However, there were different kinds of explanations in the circle. Del Mar was already despised by many from the moment he used someone's reputation as a gimmick by forcing a book's plot into someone's life and destroying their reputation. It could be considered as karma that he ended up in this situation. At the same time, some publishing houses that had intended to copy Del Mar Publishing House, immediately halted their projects. All the novels that were related to Boss Mag were quickly pulled off the shelf. They were afraid to end up in jail too. This time, the people in the publishing world had witnessed the power of Mamie Restaurant's Boss Mag. The author clarified the incident personally, the book was pulled off the shelf and the publishing house was shut down. All these successfully rectified Mag's persona from being a jerk. It was close to evening when Mag returned to the restaurant. All the customers lining up greeted him enthusiastically. Many even apologized to him shyly. Mag smiled nonchalantly. He wouldn't take the customers' discussions to heart. Yee-haw! Yee-haw! Mag went into the restaurant and immediately saw Kiddo riding Ugly Duckling all over the restaurant. Ugly Duckling had gotten a lot bigger recently. It was over 20 kilos now and it was furry, just like a big fat fluffy ball. Meanwhile, Kiddo was very tiny. Her legs were dangling on either side as she sat on Ugly Duckling. She was holding onto a golden trident and wearing a little cape that was made from a piece of red cloth. She looked just like a little general. Mag opened the door just as Ugly Duckling dashed over. It crashed into the door and its rotund body rolled forward instantly. Kiddo on Ugly Duckling was also thrown out forward and she flew towards Mag. Mag quickly caught Kiddo. The little one was soft and tiny. She was stunned when she was caught, then she laughed and clapped her hands. This is so fun! Up, father! Up! Mag wanted to lecture the little one on safety sternly, but he couldn't help smiling when he saw that adorable face and heard those cute words. He lifted the little one up high, tossed her upwards and then caught her again. Kiddo's laughter echoed throughout the restaurant and Gina, who was sitting at the side, smiled too. All right. Kiddo, go play with Ugly Duckling, but be careful. Mag played with Kiddo for a while before putting her back onto the ground. Father, when is big sister Amy back from school? Kiddo looked up and asked expectantly. Soon. She'll be home in a short while. Mag took a quick look at the clock on the wall. Kiddo's eyes lit up and she ran to the door, shouting, I'll wait for her at the door. Meow. Ugly Duckling, who was in a daze for a while, ran to the door too. It sat next to Kiddo on the steps and tilted its head to look at her. Then, it gently placed its head on her. You're so heavy, Ugly Duckling. Kiddo pushed its furry head away disdainfully before leaning onto its soft tummy and smiled comfortably. So cute. We didn't dare to steal Little Boss in the past. Are we going to form a team to try for Tiny Boss now? This is really too cute. I want to have a cute baby with Boss Mag too. Bro, are you making things hard for Boss Mag? The customers lining up at the door glowed. They couldn't resist Kiddo's cuteness attack at all. Mag flicked a glance at the little one before looking away with a smile. Kiddo said she wants to play with Ugly Duckling, so I brought her over earlier. Gina got up and explained. It's hard to care for a child alone, Mag said to Gina. He had an easy time. He had never taken care of the child before and Gina was caring for her alone. Kiddo is very well behaved, so it's not hard at all. Gina shook her head and looked at the door with a gentle gaze. Mag chit-chatted with Gina for a short while. But when he saw Firis and Camilla working busily in the kitchen, he quickly went upstairs to change into his chef's suit. Swoosh! 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 Mag felt a cold murderous intent as soon as he went into the kitchen. He saw Camilla, who was wearing 10 razor-sharp nail knives, waving her hands. The knives gleamed and all the ingredients were cut into strips and cubes. Camilla usually worked like this too, but Mag could sense a murderous intent in the kitchen today. Were you ditched by a man? Mag looked at the cold Camilla and asked casually. Ding! The nail knives clashed and made a crisp sound. Sparks flew into the air. There's no such man in this world and there won't be in the future either, Camilla said coldly. Mag was secretly speechless. This woman had a bad temper. Since she was angry, he left her alone and went to grind the beans. Camilla was furious when she saw Mag ignore her. Wasn't this fellow going to ask her what happened? If not, how was she going to say the speech that she had prepared for so long? Oh yes! Mag turned around. Camilla gathered up her emotions and prepared to answer him. Come over here, Firis. I'll teach you how to grind the beans, Mag said to Firis. Yes. Firis walked over happily and watched Mag make the tofu pudding seriously. Aye. Camilla wanted to clench her fist, but the finger knives blocked her actions. Hence, she could only stomp her feet in anger. She thought this novel incident could make Mag suffer and distract his attention so that she could get the photo stone back. Or, she would have the time to make a video of Mag and exchange it for hers. She didn't expect this thing to blow over in just 2 days. At this point, he subconsciously looked at the girl in the corner opposite him and said, Our Chinese medicine faculty is also going to have a program this year. If your seniors hadn't graduated or Qiaonian's previous batch of students had basically transferred to other departments in their second year. It wasn't appropriate for Shen Yugui to say this directly in front of the new students. So, he paused for a second and continued, if you want to come up with a program, it will definitely only be produced by your batch. Do you have any ideas? If you do, you can raise them. Everyone had discussed this topic before he arrived. They even told the people who came later about how the clinical department almost snatched their private room. After Shen Yugui brought it up, Song Tian was the first to speak. We just met someone from the clinical department. They seem to be performing a dance this year. As for us, we also want to perform a dance. She was cheerful and straightforward. She didn't hide anything. Her baby face was quite confident. She raised her hand and looked around at the people in the private room, then said, I learned folk dance for a few years. I can do a solo dance. But there's a problem. I don't have a soundtrack. It might not be very effective if I play the CD. Who knows how to play an instrument? It's best if we can coordinate. She had already asked the rest about their specialties when she first arrived. Basically, no one wanted to go up. She had learned folk dance for a few years and was very experienced in it. It was fine for her to go up and take the lead. She would also go up to represent the class when they were required to perform in her high school in the past. She wasn't afraid of such occasions. Mag did not want to meet that old witch, so he told the representative from the city lord's castle, 30 million copper coins, not a single cent less, in 3 days. Otherwise, let your son stay in jail for the rest of his life. That was how overbearing he was with a backing. If it was Jeffrey, there might still be room for negotiation. However, even his birth father could not be bothered with this foolish son. So what should Mag be wary of? Mag had also found out about Delmar's situation. He had a wife and 2 children, an 8-year-old son and a 4.5-year-old daughter. To lose everything was a rather heavy punishment for him. Mag had already told Dykus that he could understand and forgive Delmar, but that it should only be announced after Cyril forks out the money. Scumbag! Matriarch Denise smashed the cup in her hand on the floor. She was red with fury as she cursed Mag. That scumbag is too much. The maids all hid at the side, shaking in fear, afraid to speak. Aviva brought her 2 daughters with her, crying and wailing, as she said, Mother, you have to save Cyril, you dote on him the most. If he has to stay in jail for the rest of his life, what would become of us? Grandma, please save father. We beg you. Hernie and Hertie hugged each of Denise's arms as they begged. Ever since Gloria came into power, life had been tough for them. Now that Cyril was arrested, they had lost their pillar of support and they had no idea what to do. Denise held her 2 granddaughters in her embrace as tears streamed down her face. She said as she pounded her chest and stomped her feet, I want to save my son too. But where do I get the 30 million? I've only saved up 10 million copper coins after all these years. Even if I sell all the shops and houses under my name, there's still 10 million to raise. What should we do then? Aviva asked as she wept. In my opinion, there are 2 ways right now, Aurora, who had been watching from the side, said with a smile. What ideas do you have? Aviva asked. Denise looked over as well. 30 million copper coins is no small sum. It is obvious now that father is refusing to fork out money and doesn't care about what happens to second brother. Aurora said with a smile, in my opinion, the first way is to not fork out the money too. We'll let him stay a few years in jail. In that case, we don't have to fork out the 30 million for the scumbag. We can leave the money for the 3 of you, so at least you have something to depend on. Aviva and her 2 daughters wavered, but they did not say anything at the moment. Nonsense! How can I let my son go through such sufferings? Denise was enraged. In that case, you're left with only the second way. Mother, since father refuses to help, you can only go to your family. Aurora shrugged. However, the quality of his fans in this life was extremely high. They weren't those anti-fans who followed him because they were afraid that they couldn't find him when they wanted to scold him. Ding! New mission. Could the host please gain 1 million fans as soon as possible? You will receive a special reward once the mission is completed. Mission progress, 986,520 people. Right then, the system's voice, which had disappeared for a long time, rang in Mag's mind again. The achievement of 1 million followers? Just a small reward. Mag pursed his lips. He didn't look like he was looking forward to it. A mysterious reward is a mysterious reward. Its richness will be beyond the host's imagination. Could the host please complete the mission and continue on your journey to become the god of cookery? The system began its usual encouragement again. I've been trying to teach people how to cook and attract fans every day, but why is it so hard to attract fans? Mag frowned and pondered seriously. Why don't I change my tactics and go challenge the other restaurants? Anti-fans are also fans, and it's much faster. This system is warning the host seriously. If there is an excess of accumulation of negative feelings, it might trigger another transmigration or death. I don't think the host would want to experience that again. You won't get such a pretty daughter and wife every time you transmigrate, the system said quietly. Mag tilted his head and thought for a moment. He indeed didn't want to experience it again. What if I can't become the god of cookery? What would happen? Mag asked again. If the host is lucky, you can live till 130 to 140 years old. This is the record of the oldest human being on the Norland continent. Before that, the host would become old, have erectile problems, lose your strength, become paralyzed and have urinary incontinence. In the meantime, your daughter will continue to handle things with a maiden's character and your wife will remain beautiful as usual. Perhaps, they will forget you slowly decades later and then meet. Shut up. Mag had a sulky expression. The human's life expectancy on the Norland continent was the shortest. Living to 90 was considered to be an advanced age even for the 10th tier powerhouses. Meanwhile, the basic lifespan for the elves was 1,000 years old, and as their power grew, their life expectancy increased as well. It wasn't unusual for a peak 10th tier powerhouse like Irina to live until 2,000 years old. Even though Amy was a half-blood, she had inherited Irina's beauty and many of her elven characteristics. Her lifespan would be equally long as well. Annie was even beyond discussion. Mag suspected she also wouldn't age or die. As for Kiddo, she was a baby god. She would most likely be a being that wouldn't age or die after she regained her divinity. Therefore, in the future, he might not only be the weakest in the family, but he could also be the one with the shortest lifespan. Why am I so miserable? I'm already a demigod, right? Mag couldn't figure it out. This demigod status is simply too useless. Mag scratched his head. You're immortal if you don't become a god. Are you trying to get me to ask you, system, teach me how to become a god? Ahem. If the host is asking, I can teach him that. Scram. Mag put away the tea set on the table and got on his bicycle. He stopped his bicycle on a street that was near to Aiden Square. It was called Boozy Street. There were many shops on both its sides and it was only 2 blocks away from Aiden Square, but it didn't have much human traffic. There were a few repair shops, woodwork shops, and blacksmith shops on the street. All of the owners were craftsmen and they were just using this place as their workshops, so it wouldn't have much human traffic. 1 week ago, Mag had spent 500 million copper coins to buy over 200 buildings, which was about half of Boozy Street. He bought all the buildings that were up for sale. Then, he demolished over 50 buildings in the middle of Boozy Street and set up a hoarding. He began to build Mamie Square. He wanted one saying to spread throughout the Norland continent, wherever Mamie Square is, it will be the center. He had to keep a low profile. He wasn't someone who loved to show off his wealth. However, he indeed wanted to establish a commercial center outside of Aiden Square and set up the first Mamie Cineplex in this commercial center. The business circle in Aiden Square was already saturated. The cost to buy a piece of land to build a Cineplex there was too high and it wasn't cost-effective. Mag tasted the sweetness of investing when he invested in Rodeu's Romo Street, so he intended to recreate it in Chaos City too. Mag had given the blueprint to Ashley and the Night Elves construction team had already flattened the land. A forest appeared in a few short days. The trees reached up to the sky and some of their trunks were already a few men thick. Mag's idea was to construct a mall that had the elven characteristics and wood would be its main building material. It could also let the residents of Chaos City get to know the new residents that came from the Wind Forest. These trees' growth were expedited by the botany magic casters. The magic seeds were paired up with expedition magic. It wasn't something rare. There were many botany magic casters in the Night Elves, so they completed the task of planting the raw materials in a few short days. The elves were already cutting down the trees at the western corner. The thick trunks were cut into different types of shapes and sizes. They were stacked up neatly according to their types. Mag admired the elves very much on this point. They could complete the job beautifully while maintaining a high efficiency. Mag pushed his bicycle as he walked around the construction site once. He happened to hear a man say, "The elven magic is indeed awesome. The trees that were just planted a few days ago are so huge now. Won't they get rich if they were to sell the timber in the city? This gentleman is great at making money." Mag marveled secretly. He had another great plan for the Night Elves again. Mamie Square's construction investment was quite big. Mag estimated that he needed to invest another 500 million. He chatted with the investor Little Amy yesterday and received an angel investment, which was just right for it. Other than Chaos City, Mag still had another construction site at Rodu's Romo Street. However, that construction site was much smaller. He was only building a 3-story building. It was contracted to a local construction team, so it was much less efficient. Mag decided to visit all the big cities, especially some second-tier cities in the Roth Empire. Although they weren't as famous as the Roth Empire, they had a big population too. They were very suitable for setting up cinemas. Mag didn't like to make movies, he just wanted to get famous. Being famous could extend his lifespan. He didn't want to die at the age of 100 and pass his wife and daughters to someone else. He couldn't take it lying down. 7 days went by in a flash after they returned from Rodu. Mag didn't care about the favors that Madame Denise threw over at him. He ran to Rodu early in the morning. "Is it already the 7th day?" Vicky stared at Mag in a daze at the door for a while with 2 dark circles under her eyes. "Yes, today's the 7th day." Mag nodded smilingly. He came like an editor rushing a writer for a manuscript. "Wait a section. I'll go wash my face first." Vicky slammed the door and then spent her time freshening up for over an hour. Mag went to chit-chat with Miss Ioffe for a while, before checking out the cinema construction site. He also checked on the quality of the vendors that moved in recently. Vicky, who had washed up, finally came out with a stack of thick books when he returned to the theater. "Have you had breakfast?" Mag placed a bowl of shaved noodles that he made in the kitchen of a tavern next door in front of Vicky. Growling, Vicky's stomach grumbled before she could say she wasn't hungry. "Let's eat first." "We'll talk after you've finished," Mag said with a laugh. Mag could see that this lass must have pulled all-nighters to write the script. "Then, I won't stand on ceremony with you." Vicky picked up the chopsticks and started slurping the shaved noodles. The hungry stomach received the most beautiful consolation. Her tiredness was instantly relieved. It was much more effective than the spring of life which she had already built up a resistance to. "Yummy," Vicky mumbled with puffed-out cheeks. Mag leaned back against his chair and looked at Vicky, who looked a little silly, with a smile. This lass looked like a high-born young mistress, but she worked very hard. He wasn't expecting much when he came today. However, looking at her now, the script should be almost completed. The bowl of shaved noodles fully ended up in Vicky's tummy quickly. She even finished all the soup. Putting down the bowl, Vicky was still reminiscing over it. She hadn't had such a scrumptious and comfortable breakfast for a long time. "One more, please," Vicky said instinctively. "Should I go make another bowl for you?" Mag got up. No, no. I'm just joking." Vicky quickly stopped him with a blush. This was Alex. She wasn't that high and mighty. Mag sat down again and Vicky put the bowl to one side before passing that thick book over. Is it completed? Mag took the book. On the cover was, Love of a Succubus, tentatively. The script is almost completed, but there are still many details that need to be fine-tuned. Some dialogues need to be amended as well. Vicky nodded and shyly said, especially the ending and the climax. The script was rushed, so there's a lot of areas which we can improve on. Mag read the contents for a while and he could generally see the storyline. However, the plot was still a little rough and indeed had room for improvement. Furthermore, this was a script. It was different from a novel, so it was harder to read. With regard to improvement, Mag happened to have someone whom he could make use of. It's quite good. It's already not bad that you could finish it to this standard in such a short time. Mag closed the script and smilingly said, then, I'll hold on to this script first and you'll continue to improve on it. I'll get a novelist to adapt it into a novel and put it on the market first. Adapt it into a novel? Vicky was a little shocked. Mag nodded and said, yes. This is a completely new story after all. It isn't practical to try to attract the viewers into the cinema right away. Hence, I intend to adapt it into a novel and make it famous. This will allow the later publicity to achieve a better effect. You really have great foresight. Vicky looked at Mag with admiration. His understanding on business operations had exceeded hers. Don't worry. I'll let you see the adaptation after it's done. I'll only publish it after it's reached your standards. Mag said to Vicky, this is your work after all. I'll respect your opinion fully. Vicky nodded with a smile. She felt a warmth in her heart. She was indeed touched by it. I won't be coming to Rodu often in the future. Message me when you're done with the script, and I'll come and get it. Mag got up after saying that. Vicky got up and said to Mag, wait a section. Do you have any candidates for the actors? How's their acting? Mag pondered for a while before nodding. I think their acting is not bad. After all, it's true to the characters. Vicky had a weird expression. Mag did look like he was playing himself. After all, even if he didn't slay the great old one, he had sealed it. But, who would be the succubus? What about the succubus? Vicky asked. She's my restaurant's employee. Her acting talent is not bad, but after your reminder, I think it's necessary to send her to you to brush up on her acting skills. This way it would prevent her from being a hindrance. Mag nodded thoughtfully. Actually, I can play a lot of roles. Vicky flicked her hair and tried to reveal an expression that she thought was seductive. Mag glanced at her and shook his head. You're still small. You need to grow bigger first. You leave first. I'll give you the script once it's done, Vicky said angrily and got up to send him off. Come and visit when you're free. I'll treat you to grilled meat, Mag said with a smile and got up to walk to the door. Vicky wanted to decline with pride, but she changed her words once he mentioned grilled meat. All right, I'll definitely come. The grilled meat was simply too delicious and irresistible. Mag went back to Chaos City with the script and then went to Cynthia's home. After knocking, Cynthia opened the door and looked at him with a yawn. She looked like she had just woken up. Take this. This is the first work to complete in your agreement. Mag passed the script to her. Cynthia took the book and frowned before saying disdainfully, Love of a Succubus? What a tacky title! What about Phantom of the Kitchen? Mag asked. That's even tackier, Cynthia answered him gravely. Mag was silent for a moment before he pushed the blame away. The title was also suggested by the script writer. Cynthia flipped through a few pages and puzzledly asked, What form of writing is this? Is this a theater's script? But, it seems a little different. You just write it like you wrote that book. The script has already provided you with the story's framework and plot, you just need to add some details to it. Mag consoled her. Don't be too stressed. Like how I wrote that book. Cynthia pondered seriously for a while before lowering her head with a blush and softly answering, I got it. Mag flicked a glance at Cynthia surreptitiously and said with concern, then, let me see the first draft in a week's time. I need to control the content. Sure. Cynthia nodded. Mag didn't stay for long. After leaving Cynthia's house, he went to the city lord's castle. Delmar's assets had been registered and processed in these past few days. That publishing house was the most difficult to process. About half an hour later, a middle-aged man wearing sunglasses and a long down coat strode into the exhibition hall with his wife. The Jing family members standing at the door were stunned silly. F***ck, isn't this? We have to hurry up and inform 6th Master. If they bump into him, wouldn't it be awkward? Master Su reached out to take off his sunglasses. Are those people at the door from the Jing family? It seems so. Enemies are really bound to meet on a narrow road. It would be great if I could meet that brat Jing Hanchuan. I haven't seen him in a long time. We can even have lunch together and... He smiled. Catch up. The woman beside him smiled helplessly. She felt that it was common for children to fight and bleed. She didn't understand why her husband took it to heart and hated him for more than 20 years. Actually, Jing Hanchuan knew to carry their daughter on his back to see a doctor back then. At the very least, he was responsible and dared to take responsibility. Eleanor looked at Mag's gentle and kind smiley face and nodded without any hesitation. I'm willing. Very good. Bring me around this publishing house first. Mag pushed open the door. And introduce me to your former colleagues too. All right. Eleanor quickly caught up and brought Mag around the publishing house. The publishing house's most valuable asset was this building. It took up 90% in the auction. The publishing house had built up some works, but they were mostly unknown and the publishing house had barely survived all these years. However, even though the publishing house was small, it still contained the essentials. This publishing house had all the essential staff members and it had the ability to publish a book. Mag listened to Eleanor's fairly just introductions of her former colleagues, so he decided against inviting everyone back. He didn't have the plan to publish a lot of works currently. The first piece of work would be Love of a Succubus. He didn't need help for typesetting and printing. From today onwards, you will be the company's deputy chief editor. Your monthly salary will be 6,000 copper coins, Mag said to Eleanor. Eleanor's tiredness went away and she energetically asked Mag, what do I need to do now? After pondering for a while, Mag said, for the next few days, just come to the company every day to maintain its cleanliness. There's nothing for you to do right now. Hey! Eleanor was stunned. I'm preparing for a book, but it's not ready to be published yet. Mag explained. Eleanor nodded. Although she didn't know what Mag was preparing, as an obedient employee, she naturally wouldn't ask if the boss didn't want to say. Mag continued speaking, and, go get those employees who are not paid yet. Ask them to come get their salary here 3 days later at 10 a.m. If they don't have a job, they can take part in the interview. I might employ a few more new employees too. Are you going to give them their salary? Eleanor was shocked. They already didn't harbor any hopes with regard to getting their salary. She didn't expect Mag to bring this up himself. Yes. I have gotten this company's assets, so I have to take over the debts at the same time. This is the rule set before the auction. Mag smiled. I will have to bother you with this matter. No worries. I will notify all of them. Eleanor nodded in acknowledgement. These are the company's keys. You shall keep one set of them. Mag handed a bunch of keys to Eleanor. Eleanor accepted them, feeling very flattered. In the past, other than the boss, only the chief editor held the second set of keys. Do a good job and you will have plenty of chances for promotions and pay increments. Mag encouraged her. Yes. Eleanor nodded gravely. However, she was thinking, there are only 2 people in this company. What can I be promoted to? Is this the reason why I am the deputy chief editor instead of the chief editor? Mag looked up at the signboard. Eleanor had great situational awareness. She immediately said, I'll get someone to remove it later. Mag replied, I'll make the new signboard myself. You will handle the old one, and get someone to dispose of the things in the publishing house. Everything. Yes. I intend to renovate the publishing house. It's too outdated. Mag nodded. He was reminded of that uncomfortable sofa in the boss office. All right. Eleanor swallowed what she had intended to say. She thought, this boss is so generous. Delmar, that Scrooge repaired that broken sofa over and over again, and the employee's office furniture was all bought from the second-hand market. Mag nodded and rode away on his bicycle. It was not bad to have an obedient employee. Being a general without an army would be very frustrating. He had a publishing house now, and the night elves could handle the printing. All he needed now was a popular book. Mag was rather confident about Cynthia's potential. Mag returned to the restaurant and saw a maiden staring up at a pear tree that was blossoming at the restaurant's door. Mag stopped the bicycle and smilingly asked Luna, who was wearing a long cotton dress, Teacher Luna, what brought you here? You're back. Luna turned around to look at Mag with a gentle smile too. I came to discuss the school's classes with Mr. Mag today. The children showed great results after having 1 week of classes. After a discussion, we felt that we could start some practical courses, so that the children could experience and adapt to them. Let's go in and discuss this slowly. The restaurant is not open for business today. Mag opened the door and entered. Luna followed him in. She casually asked him as she watched him bring the drinks out from the kitchen, is your wife at home today? She went out on an errand. Mag placed a glass of warm water in front of Luna. Oh! What a coincidence! She must be a very beautiful woman. Yes. She's a very beautiful woman. Mag nodded with a smile. Luna smiled and placed a timetable on the table. Please take a look at the timetable. I'll arrange 2 classes per week. 1 class on Monday and 1 class on Friday. Each class is 2 hours long each. What do you think about it? If there are no emergencies, I can promise I'll be present for all the classes. Mag nodded with a smile. Luna avoided the restaurant's operation hours and gave him ample time in advance. She was being very considerate. As for the class being 2 hours long, it was in fact suggested by Mag himself. Learning to cook and learning about knowledge in class was different. They had to practice. Without ample practice, you couldn't be an excellent chef even if you were a genius. Mag only had 2 lessons per week, which was a total of 4 hours. To train an excellent chef, this amount of time was far from being ample. However, Mag loved to accept challenges. Making a bunch of little ones fall in love with cooking, training them into being the best chefs on the Norland continent, and making Hope School into the West Point in the culinary world. Just thinking about it made him excited. Are we going to select the students tomorrow? Mag asked. Yes. We have already notified the children about the practical courses and let them volunteer for them. Luna nodded and revealed a smile. We've got the most children selecting your God of Cookery advanced courses. There are over 400 of them. I'm actually that popular. Mag was a little shocked. He thought that being a chef was tough and tiring, so the children would most likely like it the least. These children are afraid of poverty. At least, they don't have to worry about starving if they become a chef, Luna said softly with a pitiful gaze. Mag's heart constricted too. He remembered how Amy was munching happily on the tough pancake when he had just transmigrated over to this world. Some of the children had a much tougher time than that. I can only take in 100 students for the first term. Seems like I have to eliminate many children hard-heartedly, Mag said with a sad smile. What requirements do you have? We can eliminate some children first to lessen your workload tomorrow, Luna asked. Mag pondered for a while before saying, children who are too small can't reach the stove and can't lift the pots, so we will set the minimum requirements at being 1.30 meters tall and lifting half a pot of water with one hand. I will decide on the rest after I meet the children. Luna nodded and took out a pen and notebook to write the requirement down. Luna put away the pen and paper and asked Mag with concern, I heard that you had some trouble with gossip lately. Is it all settled? Before that, he had to become a good teacher and impart his culinary skills to them so that they could all grow to become independent chefs. But eliminating some of the curious children made Mag somewhat uneasy. Mag went to the dormitory and happened to meet Angela, who was on her way back. He said, Angela, can you make a trip to Rodu to look for Miss Vicky, the maestro of Black Cat Opera House at Romo Street? Say that I recommended you to learn the performing arts. Learn the performing arts? Angela was stunned. She looked at Mag in bewilderment and said, why must I learn the performing arts? Didn't I say that I want to give you a chance to make a name for yourself? The chance is here now. It's up to you whether you can grab it, Mag said with a smile. Angela blinked and said, Boss, are you selling me? You're selling me to an opera house? The indecent kind. Thud. Mag smacked her on her head and said angrily, it's a decent opera house and it's currently the best opera house in the Norland continent. Angela held her red forehead and said with grievance, in that case. Why are you making me learn performing arts? I can't act in an opera. I intend to make a Magvi. You'll be the female lead. The script is currently a work in progress but you need to improve your acting skills. After all, it is the first ever Magvi. It's not just for fun, Mag explained patiently. What is a Magvi? It is a type of communication technique where you use a photostone and some spells to capture images and then play it out with a player. The content captured would be a story. This is a Magvi. Angela thought seriously for a while and could not really understand, but the sound of it seemed rather cool. She could not help but ask, if I'm the female lead, who is the male lead? Mag pointed at himself. Angela stared at Mag for a while and asked hesitantly, Boss Mag, you're not going after my looks, are you? Do you think you have what it takes to say that in front of your lady boss? Mag rolled his eyes. Angela suddenly thought that it made sense and said with a smile, that's true. You don't have the guts to do so. Lady boss could squash you 100 times with just a finger. Mag had mixed feelings. This is what happens when the woman wears the pants in the relationship. Others would even think that you don't dare to have such thoughts. Then what would happen to the work in the restaurant when I'm gone? Angela asked. You don't have to worry about that. It would get busier but it's still manageable. You mean it's the same whether or not I'm around? With you around, everyone can take a few more breaks. Humph. I'm leaving tonight. Angela rushed up the stairs angrily. Mag shook his head with a smile and turned to return to the restaurant. In no time at all, a head peeked out from upstairs, asking in a cowardly manner, are the performing arts difficult? It shouldn't be to you, Mag said with a smile. This lass had a natural talent in acting. I'll rest assured then. Angela put her head back in with a smile. The next morning, Angela came over to the restaurant for breakfast and bade everyone farewell. Sisters, I am going to Rodu to enjoy myself. I'll be back to visit you after I become a superstar, Angela said a little proudly after licking her bowl of tofu pudding clean. Father, is big sister Angela going to learn hypnosis? Angela asked Mag. The corner of Mag's lips twitched. He almost burst out laughing. He shook his head gently and said, she's going to learn the performing arts and is set to become the first benchmark for succubi to escape the bathhouse. Amy nodded thoughtfully. Isn't she going to be away from the crowd, then? Everyone laughed. Oh, right. Babla, Shirley, how are your lesson preparations going? Mag asked them. Principal Luna came to look for me yesterday saying that there are very few children with magic talent. Currently, they could only detect about 20 students who are suitable to train in magic. Babla sighed. Although I haven't seen the children, I think they don't have a lot of talent. Otherwise, they would have been accepted into Chaos School. Mag had also expected that. Seeing that Babla was feeling down, he said seriously, there is no discrimination in teaching. If they are willing to learn magic from you, as the only magic teacher in Hope School, you should still give your all to teach them. Upon hearing that, Babla's expression grew serious. She nodded and said, I understand. I just did not expect the ratio to be that bad. It could also be that the test went wrong. After all, those teachers were not magic casters and most children's magic talent would only be shown after they are developed. Therefore, there are many children with magic talent but they are just not discovered. Irina interrupted. Babla's eyes lit up. She was suddenly energized and said, that's right. Let me slowly discover them. There are more than 3,000 children from various races. I don't believe there are only that many who can learn magic. Shirley, what about you? Mag looked at Shirley. Principal Luna said that there are currently only 4 children who signed up for the archery course. Shirley smiled despondently. She looked at Anna, who was eating her dumpling obediently beside her, and said, Anna is one of them. Why do children nowadays dislike working out? No one actually signed up with such a good archery teacher around. Yabimiya commented in shock. This is not difficult to understand. Those children could barely fill their stomachs, so to them, finding a job that could bring them riches after leaving school is more important than working out, Mag explained. Everyone was deep in thought and could quickly understand what Mag said. However, they probably have not realized that learning archery from Shirley could make them an excellent archer. That is also a freelance job that they could do, Elizabeth said. There is a week of trial lessons. During this week, the children can change their courses based on their preferences and abilities. The number of students will increase after they experience the fun of archery class. Mag comforted her. Boss, in that case, how many students chose your course? Yabimiya asked. Everyone looked at Mag. Impressive. I didn't expect so many children to aspire to be chefs, Mia exclaimed. These children are pretty smart. The least thing you have to worry about when staying in the kitchen is filling your stomach, Camilla said with a smile. These children need to be free of such insecurities for them to really learn and choose what they want for their future, Irina said worriedly. Mag was slightly stunned. Irina's words had reminded him. Although these children chose him, how many of them really want to become a chef? Are they just trying to escape hunger? Mag invested and created Hope School so that these children could have a choice in what future they wanted. I'm full. I'll have to leave first. The flying steed that I booked is about to set off. Angela put her bowl down and said to everyone, so long, sisters. We're not sisters. Mag emphasized. It's all right, I don't mind, Angela said with a smile. I mind. Mag said seriously. Angela waved her hand and walked out the door. Boss, we haven't been launching new products recently. There are customers asking me about new products, Mia told Mag. Have you been too busy recently? Upon hearing that, Mag was stunned. He was so busy with his side hustles recently that he did neglect his main job. He said with a smile, I actually have prepared some new products but I've been too busy recently, so I haven't had the time to launch them. He had not launched the hot noodles with sesame paste or the mousse cake. The hot noodles with sesame paste could be launched in the next couple of days but Mag was still considering the mousse cake. This was a little different from ice cream. Mag found that it would be strange to add it to the restaurant's menu. I will be launching a new noodle dish in a couple of days, Mag told Mia. All right. Mia nodded. Mia, this is the timetable. As my assistant, you'll have to go to Hope School with me for classes after we're done with our daily operations. Mag passed a copy of the timetable to Mia. All right. Mia received the timetable and studied it carefully before keeping it safely. I want to go to class too. Kiddo swallowed the dumpling in her mouth. She looked at Mag and begged him. Father, I want to go to class too. Kiddo wants to go to class with big sister Amy and big sister Anna. Kiddo, you're still young. When you grow older, you'll be able to go to school, Mag said with a smile. No, Kiddo wants to go to class. Kiddo wants to learn. Kiddo shook her head. Mama said that learning is important, more so than eating. Mag looked at the little one with a helpless smile. She was too small, around 2 years old, and could not even walk straight, yet, she wanted to go to school. That would be putting the teacher on the spot. Kiddo, be good. When you're a year older, Mama will send you to school, Gina said gently as she stroked Kiddo's head dotingly. Kiddo pressed her lips together and squeezed her exquisite eyebrows together. She let out a snort and looked at Gina with grievance as she said, Mama, is Kiddo stupid? Is that why Father doesn't let Kiddo go to class? Mag felt very wronged. He just felt that Kiddo was too young and was not at the right age to go to school. How can that be? Kiddo is the smartest. I'll bring you along to learn magic, shall we? It's just next door. I'll let my master teach you magic. Amy slid down her chair and ran to Kiddo. She snapped her fingers loudly and an icy blue flame appeared at the tip of her fingers. Just like this. Wow! Kiddo stopped kicking up a fuss immediately. Her eyes were shining brightly. After that, she copied Amy and snapped her fingers. Boom! A crack formed on the ceiling and the entire restaurant shook violently. Silence! Everyone looked at Kiddo in shock. Meanwhile, Mag's eyelids twitched. System, your darn house isn't sturdy at all. Mag dissed inside. Host, the restaurant's defense level is at the 10th tier. The attack just now was way past the 10th tier. That was a very reasonable reaction, the system explained. Mag fell silent. That seemed about right. If not for Kiddo's adorable looks, he would have thought it was Thanos who snapped. I think it's about time we renovate the restaurant. We did not take into full consideration back then when we were renovating it, so we did not tear down the old house which was originally here. I think it's not very sturdy, Mag said with an awkward smile. Upon hearing that, everyone agreed. Kiddo was still so young. How could a casual snap of her fingers cause a crack in the house? Nothing. Kiddo looked at her fingers in bewilderment and attempted to try again. It's not like that. Gina quickly reached over to stop Kiddo from snapping her fingers again. She put her hands gently around Kiddo's hand and said, Kiddo, raise your hand slowly and look at your palm. After that, imagine the state of water. Whoosh! A giant wave appeared in the restaurant out of nowhere, crashing right towards the table. Hold! Babla lifted her finger and the giant wave was suspended in mid-air. Everyone could no longer remain calm as they looked at the raging wave above their heads. Is prenatal education so dangerous right now? Yabimiya swallowed her saliva. What kind of talent is this? Is this the legendary prodigy? Camilla was stupefied. Magic of that level was already close to an advanced 7th tier magic caster. And that was just Gina teaching Kiddo to attempt feeling the water element. That's fun. Kiddo looked up at the giant wave above her head and clapped her little hands excitedly. Gina quickly waved the giant wave away and said embarrassedly, sorry for the alarm. It was indeed alarming. Babla nodded. She looked at Kiddo and said seriously, I actually felt pressure from this little one. I was alarmed too. I felt useless. Ferris nodded along. She realized that right now, she actually could not withstand that giant wave just now. I guess Kiddo is a genius, Irina said with a smile. So, Kiddo is better at water magic, then it will be best for her to learn from Gina, Mag said with a smile. Kiddo shall learn magic from mother in this case, Gina quickly said. Alright. Kiddo loves magic. Kiddo nodded her little head and forgot all about going to school. Mag asked Irina to fix the crack on the ceiling with magic. The restaurant withstood Kiddo's earlier finger snap, and the customers lining up outside weren't alarmed. The restaurant operated as usual. After the morning service, Mag brought along a set of kitchenware and went straight to Hope School with Yabimiya on his bicycle. Babla and Shirley's classes were on Tuesday, so they didn't have to go to school today. Boss Mag, are you guys here for classes too? Mag happened to bump into Vivian, who was alighting from her horse-drawn carriage when he reached the school gates. Oh, it's Teacher Vivian. Mag nodded with a smile. Please call me Teacher Mag here. Vivian looked at Mag, who was wearing his chef's suit and smilingly nodded. All right, Teacher Mag. Then, her gaze landed on Yabimiya. Her eyes lit up as she said, Mia, your clothes looks great on you. Thank you. Yabimiya looked happy. She was wearing a black formal business wear. She looked efficient yet a little sexy as well. She looked just like a secretary. Mia is my teaching assistant. Mag introduced her. Only you have a teaching assistant in our school. Vivian winked at Mag. Mag was slightly taken aback. He asked, don't those old professors have teaching assistants? Nope. Vivian shook her head. Not even in Chaos School. Oh well. Mag murmured. He felt that this school was a little different from what he had imagined it to be. It was a little too eye-catching when he was the only person with a teaching assistant. It's fine. I have already informed the principal. She has given her permission, Mag said matter-of-factly. He wasn't trying to show off, but he was worried that he couldn't control 100 students as a new teacher. Hence, he got Mia to help him out. And Mia could help to handle many other chores too. Vivian enviously said to Mag, Luna indeed treats you specially. I also want to ask her if I can get a teaching assistant to help me mark the assignments. I'm in a rush. Let's go in first. Mag took a quick look at his watch and passed his teacher's pass to the guard for checking before walking in with Mia. Vivian quickly caught up and lamented. I heard over 400 students registered for your course. It's this year's most popular course. This shows that the children have good judgment. Mag smiled. Carry on boasting. I'm already going crazy trying to control 40 to 50 children. Now you have 100 children in the kitchen. Vivian looked at Mag piteously. Good luck to you. Mag's footsteps faltered as he watched Vivian walk to the teaching building. He felt pressure. Over 100 children, one big kitchen. Mag thought about that scenario seriously and his expression became unnatural too. It was a misjudgment. He shouldn't accept so many students in his class. Boss, I think you should have brought big sister Gina. She's the best person for this situation, Mia said smilingly. Mag was quiet. Gina was indeed the best at handling rowdy children, but she had to take care of Kiddo at home. It's fine. We can handle it too. They're just a bunch of children. Mag encouraged Mia with a smile as he walked towards the chef's training center building. From far away, Mag could see hundreds of children lining up in front of the building. There were a few teachers and kitchen ladies taking note of their heights. There was a line of pots half filled with water placed further to the front. The children went forward one by one and tried to lift the pot. Cosmo, you're not tall enough. Please try again next time. Garfield, you're not strong enough. You have to eat more and train harder. Isaac, your height and strength have met the requirements. You passed. Along with sounds of the reporting, the children who were disqualified walked to the side sadly before being brought back to their classrooms by their teachers. Meanwhile, the children who were enrolled were brought to the empty field in front of the building with an excited expression. Mag did a quick scan. There were only about 30 children who passed. And there were already less than 100 children who were still taking their height measurements. Did I set the requirements too high? Mag frowned. The situation was different from what she had imagined. They are all too thin and small. They look much smaller compared to children their age. Yabimiya looked at those children piteously. She had been through a similar time back then. There was no food and she was always hungry. Teacher Mag. A teacher quickly approached them from the crowd. You're arrived. Teacher Hira. Mag nodded with a smile. Looking at the children, Mag asked, are we doing the selecting right now? Yes. The principal said you are busy and asked us to select the children based on your requirements first. Hira nodded. She looked at the children and lamented. However, most of these children are malnourished. Not many of them could meet the requirement. These are the children left? Mag asked. Yes. We have already been selecting for 1 hour. There are over 400 students. Those who didn't meet the requirements were already sent back to class, and proceeded to join the next teacher's course. Hira nodded. Mag's gaze swept over those children that were left. There were only 10 of them who reached his height requirement and most of them had thin arms and legs. They didn't look like they could lift a heavy pot. Thank you for your hard work. Mag nodded slightly. Seems like he could only enroll 30 to 40 students today. However, Mag believed that his requirements were reasonable. Those children who failed to meet them could grow a bit more first. There was no hurry. It would be difficult to complete the course in front of a standardized cooking bench if their heights were below the requirement. It was the same if their strength couldn't meet the requirement. Being a chef was manual work. Mag and Mia stood to the side. They didn't intervene in the selection. Just as Mag expected, there were only 8 children left that met the height and strength requirement. The final number of children who were successfully selected was 38. Mag was surprised by the elimination rate that was over 90%. Right then, a tender voice pleaded. Wait a sec. Teacher. Can you give me a chance, please? I can lift that pot. I want to be a chef. But I really wanted to learn to cook from Mr. Mag. He's my idol. I want to become a chef who is as great as him, the boy named Beck said with despair. He lowered his head and sobbed. I really can lift that pot. Hira sighed and turned her gaze to Mag, who was standing at the side. Mag came over and said to Beck, I can give you a chance. If you can lift that pot with one hand, you will be admitted. Beck looked up and saw Mag, who was wearing his black and white chef's suit. His eyes glowed as he said, Why you are the chef, Mr. Mag. You can call me Teacher Mag here, Mag said with a smile, I have already given you the chance. It's up to you to grasp it. I will definitely succeed. Beck nodded gravely as he walked towards those metal pots that were filled with water. The metal pot that was half filled with water weighed over 5 kilos. Lifting a 5-kilo pot by its handle and lifting a 5-kilo object from its base were two completely different matters. Being able to handle one's pot was a chef's most basic requirement. This was also the reason why Mag set this test. If you can't even handle your own pot, how are you going to become a chef? Everyone's gaze turned on Beck as they secretly cheered him on. Go for it, Beck. Hira even voiced her encouragement. Beck came to a metal pot that was placed on the ground. He took a deep breath and reached out to grab the pot's handle with his thin arm. Up! Beck shouted and lifted with all his strength. His face was flushed, but the pot only swayed and lifted above the ground by 10 centimeters before falling back onto the ground again. Sigh! Everyone sighed. They thought that this child who was chasing after his dream, could create a miracle. However, looking at it now, the miracle didn't happen. Mag continued to look at Beck with an increasingly approving gaze. Because this child didn't give up nor despair. He rolled up his sleeves, revealing his skinny arms. He stood even steadier and grabbed the handle from the bottom. He rested the pot handle on his forearm. He took a deep breath before clenching his teeth and lifting it up. Veins appeared on his thin arms and Beck's red face looked menacing. That metal pot, that was also rather heavy for adults, was actually lifted up. Moreover, it wasn't just for a short moment this time. It was being lifted up steadily. Sweat appeared on Beck's forehead and his arms and legs were trembling. The metal pot was shaking and the water inside it was swaying too. Everyone was quiet as they watched this scene. They were even holding their breath. Beck clenched his teeth tightly as he stared at the metal pot in front of him. The metal pot was shaking and water was splashing out, but the pot was moving upwards steadily. Finally, Beck stood up straight and lifted the metal pot over his chest height. He succeeded! Hira exclaimed with joy. The students and teachers watching him cheered too. A smile appeared on Beck's pale face. He lost his grip on the metal pot as soon as he relaxed. The metal pot slipped away and his body fell backwards. Beck! Hira shouted in shock. Right at that moment, a hand caught the metal pot and another hand caught Beck's falling body. The heavy pot was caught steadily and not a drop of water spilled out. And, Beck was held by Mag. He didn't land on the floor. Beck was stunned and then he said to Mag excitedly, "Teacher Mag, I have succeeded." "Yes. You have succeeded." Mag helped him stand up straight before looking at him with appreciation. "You are admitted. You are the first student for the first batch of God of Cookery's advanced class." "Really? It's great. Thank you so much." Beck danced around excitedly. Hira heaved a breath of relief when she saw that Beck was fine. She also smiled when she heard Mag's words. Initially, she was thinking that Mag's requirements were too harsh and unfeeling, but she saw a glow on Mag now. Wasn't letting the child fight for the chance himself even more touching? Mag was touched when he saw the bruise on Beck's arm that was made by the pot. He was very satisfied with this child's temperament. A person who could be harsh on himself, would succeed easily once he was given a chance. "Thank you for all your help, teachers and aunties. We will handle the rest of the interview." "Thank you so much," Mag said to Hira and the rest. "This is the name list of the children that passed the interview. If you need anything, please come and look for me, Teacher Mag." Hira handed a list to Mag before leaving with the other teachers and kitchen ladies. Mag looked at the name list of 39 students. This wasn't the final name list. He still had to conduct a simple interview to test their temperaments and see if they could become a chef. He wanted to groom future chefs and not simply offer the children a hobby. They might have chosen him for all kinds of reasons, but the only requirement that he had for these children was for them to want to become a chef. "Is this the practical courses teacher? His clothes look so cool. I heard that the teacher is the most formidable chef on the Norland continent. He is also the most expensive chef. It will be great if we can taste the food he cooks. Then, if we learn to cook from him, will we become formidable chefs too? There should be no problem with filling up our stomachs." The students were discussing softly with anticipation written all over their faces. Mag curved his lips upwards when he heard their words. He put away the name list and walked over to the children. He said with a smile, "Hello, students. I am your chef's training teacher, Mag. Thank you for trusting me and choosing my class. I will bring you to tour around the training center first before conducting the final interview. The students who pass the final interview will be the God of Cookery's advanced class first batch of students." "Yes," the children answered in unison. "Come in." Mag took out the key and opened the training center's door. Currently, only he and Luna had the key to the training center. Wow! The students, who went in after Mag, all became amazed at the same time when they saw the magnificent training center. "Teacher, do each of us have our own cooking bench?" Beck asked softly. "Yes. Each one of you will have an independent cooking bench. You have the right to use all the equipment and condiments in class. Mag nodded with a smile. This is awesome. A glow lit up in Beck's eyes. The children looked excited too. All these stoves and kitchenware looked so cool. It was completely different from the greasy kitchens in their imaginations. Mag looked at all those juvenile faces and gravely said, being a chef is an occupation that is tough but it pays well. I hope the students I take in are people who endeavor to become great chefs, and in return I'll do my absolute best to train you all into being excellent chefs. The children looked at him with much more serious expressions. You might not know very well what kind of profession a chef is. Before the interview, I'd like to explain it to you simply. Mag walked to the nearest cooking bench and then waved the children, who were still standing at the door, over. Come over here. The children all crowded over and looked at Mag curiously. A chef is a person who cooks by profession. His job is to cook and create dishes for the customers. The cooking bench is your stage. You will be cutting ingredients and cooking here for the whole day. Mag picked up a metal pot and said to the children, the weight of this metal pot is triple of the one that you lifted earlier. If you become a chef, you will have to lift this pot several thousands times in a day. And, it won't be an empty pot, but one that is filled with ingredients. The children were wide-eyed when they heard that. Some even had a hesitant look on their faces. They thought they would be able to live in the lap of luxury after they entered this building. This was quite different from what they had imagined. Lifting that heavy metal pot at the door earlier was already very difficult for them, and now Teacher Mag was saying that they would have to lift a metal pot that was triple the weight of that previous metal pot and fully filled with all kinds of ingredients thousands of times daily. Beck had a worried expression too. However, his gaze became convinced again after he looked at the bruise on his arm. It was hard for him to get in. Hardship was nothing to be afraid of. Mag sternly said to the children, to become a chef, you have to possess these 4 attributes. You need to be able to withstand the hunger, the fullness, the heat, and the cold. This is a job that requires both brawn and brains. If you don't have a healthy body, a strong will and confidence to persist on, then get out of the program now. The children were quiet for a moment before 3 children stepped out. A boy who looked rather big among the children said, Teacher, I think I'm not strong enough. I would like to leave. We aren't strong enough either, the other 2 children also said softly and lowered their heads in embarrassment. It's all right. Swipe your names off the name list yourself and you may return to the classroom to choose a course that is more suitable for you. Mag nodded and placed the name list on the cooking bench. The 3 children went to swipe off their names. They left quickly after saying goodbye to Mag. Is there anyone else who wants to leave the program? Mag looked at the children and severely said, I'm telling you all in advance that I am a very strict teacher. If you choose to stay, you have to complete all the learning assignments that I set for you. There will be a test at the end of every month. The students who fail the test will be kicked out. The hall was silent for a while before another 4 children stepped forward to swipe off their names and leave the program voluntarily. Very good. Mag looked at the 32 children who remained and finally revealed a smile on his stern face. Welcome to the God of Cookery's advanced class. I hope you all can become great chefs in the future. The children were stunned as they couldn't react to Mag's words. Teacher, have we passed? One child asked. Yes. You have all passed my test. You have the basic qualities and determination to become a chef. Mag nodded with a smile. Of course, this doesn't mean that you all can really become a real chef. However, you have gotten yourself an admission ticket. The children started cheering and the tense atmosphere dissipated. Looking at all those young and energetic faces, Mag and Mia smiled too. All right. Now, you all will choose a seat that you like. There is a number on each cooking bench. After choosing the position you like, it will be your permanent position and this number will also be your student number, Mag said. We'll introduce ourselves after you select your position. Mag made the arrangements. The children rushed off and started looking for a position they liked. Soon, all the children found a position that they liked. Most of them chose to sit close to the front. The row that was closest to the lectern was fully occupied. Mag felt gratified about the children's studious and motivated attitude. He gestured to the children to sit down before saying, "Students, let me introduce myself to you first. I am Mag, your chef's practical course teacher and the chef of Mamie Restaurant. For the coming term, I will give you all a systematic chef training. I'll do all I can to make you all become a qualified chef." Beck was the first to clap and the children followed him. Mamie Restaurant was very famous. Even children like them had heard about that very expensive restaurant. All right. Now, we will start the self-introductions from Table 1. Before we start formal learning, let me get to know you first, Mag said smilingly before looking at Beck, who was sitting at the first table. Beck stood up and smiled shyly before saying, "I'm Beck. I'm 11 years old. My mother said my father is a very formidable chef, but I have never met him. I want to become a very formidable chef too and then cook delicious food for my mother." Mag nodded slightly. So, that was the conviction that made him lift that pot. This child is so sensible. Mia looked at Beck with sympathy. Learning to cook was a very tough journey. To these children, the greatest obstacle in their journey was whether they could persevere on or not. However, looking at it now, most of these children had their own conviction and perseverance. Even if he couldn't ensure that they could all persevere on, at least they were much more resistant than other children. And among them, a little girl named Farah had given him a deep impression. She was sitting at corner seat number 45. Her short brown hair was a little yellowish due to malnutrition, but she was half a head taller than boys of her age. She had distinctly good-looking features and a pair of grey kitten ears were vaguely visible under her short hair. Yes, she was half orc and half human. Even if they were in Chaos City, the mixed-race children's situation was not good. This was proven by Amy and Mia. Mag looked at her slightly slouching body. Her timid eyes couldn't hide her inferiority. Her self-introduction earlier was also very simple. Her name was Farah. She wanted to become a chef because she wanted to survive. Mag smilingly said, "All right. I have remembered all your names. I hope I can still see all of you sitting on your seats at the end of this school term and completing your first term's work." The children looked at him with pure eyes that sparkled like stars. There were only 3 girls among the 32 children. The rest were all boys. There were humans, demons, and orcs. The majority were humans. Suddenly, Mag realized something at this moment. His selection criteria had eliminated the dwarves and the goblins from the name list right away. Seems like I will have to change the rules accordingly next term. Mag thought. He couldn't be tagged with the discrimination label. After the self-introduction, the children were all now acquaintances. Mag didn't say anything else and started the course right away. "Now, I am going to introduce our workbench, which is the cooking bench in front of all of you. There are a few different zones on the cooking bench." Mag wasn't in a hurry to teach the children to cook during their first lesson. Instead, he took the time to teach them some interesting basic knowledge of the kitchen and of being a chef. It was very important for them to understand their working environment, job scope, and some basic requirements before they learn how to cook. Mag looked at the students and seriously said, "Students, please remember that the kitchen is a chef's face. If you can't even keep your face clean and pass the customer's checks, then you are not fit to be a chef." The students nodded gravely. They felt that they had learned a lot of interesting knowledge today. Mag looked at his watch. It was close to 11 a.m. All right. Then today's lessons will end here. I'm very happy to now know all of you. Mag looked at the children smilingly. The children got up even though they still wanted to carry on listening to Mag. They were preparing to say goodbye to their teacher. "It's almost lunchtime now. I didn't teach you all how to cook in the very first lesson, but I decided to cook lunch for you all instead. You can finish eating before you go," Mag said. "All rightly." The children let out a cheer. They had heard Mag say a lot earlier and it made them hungry. They didn't expect the teacher to cook lunch for them. Mia came over with a big box of ingredients. Mag opened the box and took out all kinds of ingredients. I'll be cooking our restaurant's signature dish for all of you this noon. It's also the very first dish of the restaurant, Yangzhou fried rice. The ingredients we used are eggs, ham, tree mushrooms, winter bamboo shoots. Mag introduced all the ingredients to the children. Now, we cut them into the size of a grain of rice. He tossed a winter bamboo shoot into the air and slashed his knife. A cold gleam flashed in front of the children's eyes. After the winter bamboo shoot landed, it was chopped into pieces that were the size of a grain of rice. It fell onto the plates that were neatly prepared at the side. Did you get it? Mag asked the children, whose mouths were wide open with shock. All the children shook their heads. What did they get? They didn't even see it clearly. It's fine. It's all right that you can get it now, but as long as you learn from me, you all will grasp this technique in the future, Mag said with a smile. The children's eyes lit up and they instantly became very expectant of the upcoming lessons. The fancy cutting wowed the children. Watching Teacher Mag cook had completely subverted their imagination of cooking. All the ingredients transformed into any form according to his wish in his hands. And, the whole process was like a performance. It was so smooth that it made them say wow in awe. After cutting the ingredients, Mag lit up 6 stoves at the same time as he prepared to cook all 32 helpings of Yangzhou fried rice together. There was projection equipment for live broadcasting above Mag's cooking bench. Besides the lectern were 2 big screens. It made sure that the children sitting at the back could see his teaching content too. Mag heated the wok before putting in the pork lard to stir-fry the spices and side ingredients. Mag moved around all the stoves with one metal ladle in his hand. Soon, the aroma of fried rice spread out. Smells good. Slurp. Smells like it's going to be super delicious. I heard them say that a helping of Yangzhou fried rice cost a few hundred copper coins in Mamie restaurant. It's so expensive. Then, are we able to make such expensive food in the future? The children discussed softly as they stared at the brightly colored fried rice on the big screen and gulped. Da 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 da. Mag turned off the stove one by one before plating the fried rice onto the plates that Mia had prepared in advance. Each ladle was just the right serving size for one bowl. The 32 helpings of Yangzhou fried rice were all identical in color and quantity. Mag put down the metal ladle and smilingly said to the children with glowing eyes, "Students, come and get your lunch according to your student number." Beck was the first to stand up and jog to the lectern. He took the plate of rice from Mia with a revered expression and carefully carried it back to his seat. The children went up to collect their lunch orderly according to their student numbers. So scrumptious. This is too delicious. I even bit my tongue. I have decided. I have to become an outstanding chef. I'll cook for myself every day. The children's praises could be heard all at the same time at that moment. The vanguards saw the oily glint on the students' lips and the satisfactory smiles on their faces and recalled the various rumors about this beautiful god of cookery training center. They looked at the canteen, which was deemed as their holy land, and felt as though it was not glowing as much. They must have had delicious food. Envy, jealousy. The children who just had the delicious Yangzhou fried rice were still smiling blissfully. When they saw the students dashing with their lives just to snatch the best scoop of dishes from the canteen ante, they could not help but feel a little proud. They get to eat in class, and on top of that, the food was delicious. That's fabulous. It's actually recovered. Beck was the last to walk out of the training center. He looked at his arm in surprise. His arm, which had a large bruise from the pot handle, had actually now recovered. He did not mind such a small injury initially. In the past, he would often help others move goods and would often have patches of bruises on his skinny body due to bumps and knocks. They would usually recover on their own in the next 2 days. However, he did not expect the bruise to disappear after just eating a meal. He felt all warm and fuzzy inside, as though he had a nice hot bath. That delicious bowl of Yangzhou fried rice must have made my body recover. This is amazing. I must become a chef as good as Teacher Mag. Beck clenched his fists tightly as he made up his mind. Farah ran back to the classroom with a book in her arms. Her classmates had all gone to the canteen for lunch and she was the only one in the quiet classroom. She placed the book in her embrace gently on the table. It was a picture book. On the cover was a castle under the night sky. A young girl in a beautiful dress was sitting on a wall, as though she was ready to escape from the castle. Beside her was a black cat. Miss Black Cat. Farah read softly as her eyes twinkled. This was given to her by the teaching assistant just now. She even smiled and told her to work hard. She had a warm and cute smile. She could tell that the big sister was also a half-orc. However, she was very optimistic and positive, and her smile was very contagious. She had never seen this exquisite picture book before. Ever since she was young, she had never received a gift. Her mother had been working hard to ensure that both of them could survive. How could she even ask for more? This was the most valuable gift she had ever received. The cover was very beautiful and detailed, making her feel the urge to flip it open. After that, she fell deep into it. Her mother could read and would always teach her how to read and write a few words no matter how busy she was. Therefore, she knew more words than the other kids on the streets. However, she had never seen such an exciting and interesting story before. Miss Black Cat fought against the rules and stood steadfast to her principles and dreams despite all the obstructions and attacks. She flipped over the high wall and started the story of chasing her dreams. Farah, what are you looking at? Voices came from around her. Farah was suddenly awakened. She quickly closed the picture book and hid it in her drawer. Only then did she realize that there were already 5 to 6 students in the classroom. They had started coming back after lunch. No, nothing, Farah shook her head as she told the few friends she had. She would never let others see this picture book because she would not be able to explain how she obtained such a valuable and exquisite picture book. Perhaps they might think she's a thief. Such things had happened before. However, Hope School is different from the outside world. The teachers here were very friendly and she could feel their kindness. Right now, she could feel a window in her heart open up with light shining in. Yet. So what if the entire world does not understand you? As long as you work hard to chase your dreams, you can become a confident person respected by others. It was just like that teaching assistant. She must be very confident, right? In that case, her culinary skills must be superb. I want to become a chef, just like Teacher Mag who can bring goodness to everyone. Farah thought to herself. A seedling was sown in her heart. Looking at these children reminded me of when I was young. I was such a bubbly young girl, Mia said with a smile as she sat on the back seat of Mag's bicycle with her hands gently placed on Mag's waist. Aren't you still an energetic young lady? You won't lose to them in terms of energy, Mag said with a smile. Really? I like the term energetic. Mia smiled brighter. Although I didn't do much today, I still find this a very pleasant experience. So this is what it feels like to be a teacher. I can see the trust and craving for knowledge. How adorable! You helped out quite a lot. I would not be able to handle those little ones alone. However, these children are not bad indeed. They have gone through hard times, so they are willing to work hard. All of them have potential. Mag nodded. He was very satisfied with this batch of students. Under the same conditions, if he were to go to Chaos School, he would not be able to get such a batch. It was too tough learning how to cook and he had no confidence in exactly how long they could persevere. However, if they persevere and are willing to put in the hard work, he would definitely do his best to train them all into being qualified chefs. As for how good they would be, it would depend on themselves. Boss, I think you're such a good fit to be a teacher. The children love you and their eyes were all twinkling when they looked at you, Mia said. It's my first time being a teacher and to be honest, I was rather nervous. However, it is still not a bad experience as of yet. I guess I can grade myself with a passing mark, Mag said with a smile. He was not trying to show off, but he really prepared and practiced many times for this lesson. He really put a lot of thought into making these children think that it was very cool to become a chef. It seemed like it was working well based on the children's feedback. There is a child called Farah. I think she's rather cute. Did you get me to pass the picture book to her so that you can train her to be an outstanding chef? I just want her to become more confident. After striding over that obstacle, she will become stronger. However, whether or not she could become an outstanding chef will depend on what kind of effort she puts in. Mag stopped in front of the restaurant. Mia hopped off and her ponytail swayed gently from side to side. Mag looked at her and said, I want to see the same energetic smile that you have, on her face. A few senior teachers gathered in the principal's office to discuss the teaching venues with Luna. Their tones were not antagonistic, and instead contained a hint of helplessness. Teachers, I have already contacted the construction teams. We're going to build another multi-purpose training building at the southwestern corner of the school. We're going to carry out the construction work at night, so it won't affect the students' learning during the day. The building can be built in a month, Luna smilingly said to all the senior teachers. I know all of us want to give the children a good learning environment, but the chef's training center was built by Teacher Mag with his funds. And, we have agreed to let him use that building to teach cooking from the start. How can we use it for other purposes? But, as for why Teacher Mag only took in 32 students, he has also informed me about it before. Learning to cook and learning about the theory behind cooking is different. A strong body and a strong will are the most basic requirements. Currently, only 32 of our children met his requirements in this batch. Luna sincerely said to all the teachers, I hope all of you can understand that. Teacher Mag is choosing his students and teaching them with a responsible attitude. The students get to choose their teacher, and the teacher gets to choose his students. This is the privilege that I bestowed to all my teachers. There was silence in the office for a while. A senior teacher sighed and lamented. Sigh. These children all had a hard life before. They don't have a strong body. You don't have to worry about that. These children are still growing their bodies. They have only been eating in school for 1 week and I have already seen the children in my class having growth spurts. In less than 2 months, there will be more children meeting Teacher Mag's requirements, another teacher said smilingly. Yes. These little ones are really growing very fast. They are eating much more than the students at Chaos School. The teachers all smiled when the children's appetites were mentioned. What Luna said was reasonable, so the teachers didn't insist. They left after chit-chatting for a while. Phew. Luna breathed out gently. Even though she was the principal now, she still had the pressure of facing her elders in front of this group of senior teachers. I heard that we could get free lunch if we attend Boss Mag's lessons. Principal, can you help me ask Boss Mag if he needs another teaching assistant? Vivian walked into the principal's office smilingly and closed the door. You have to ask about that kind of matter yourself. I can't do it, Luna replied with an exasperated smile. I only joked with him about him being the only person with a teaching assistant this morning. I have to maintain my pride. Vivian shrugged. She was regretful over her rashness in the morning. Luna stood in front of the windows and watched the children play on the field below as she gently asked, Do you think those children will become chefs as great as Mr. Mag? That's impossible. Vivian nodded with conviction. Boss Mag is a genius. A genius like him only appears once in a 1,000 years. Even if those children could become excellent chefs, they will never be as good as Boss Mag. They will only ever be able to be a level below him. Luna smiled, but she didn't refute Vivian. However, to these children, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Vivian smiled. Even if they are chefs who are a level below Boss Mag, they will still be top chefs. Look at Mana Hot Pot Restaurant's brisk business. They will be top chefs as long as they can graduate from Boss Mag. That's indeed a great thing. Luna nodded. To those children who had once struggled along the poverty line, this would be their biggest way out. Other than imparting knowledge to children and giving them a chance to make a choice, Luna wanted them to gain some skills to get themselves out of that poor situation when she built Hope School. The practical courses in Hope School weren't extracurricular, but were very important curricula. But there are only 32 students who could meet his requirements right now, Luna murmured. You don't have to worry about that. I just came from the canteen. These children are great eaters. They eat 2 bowls of rice each and can even drink a big bowl of soup after that. They are growing very quickly. Many children will meet Boss Mag's requirements in a month. Vivian waved her hand nonchalantly. Mag came out from the kitchen with a tray and shouted to the ladies, "All right, we are ready for lunch." A little one came to hug his leg as soon as he put the dishes down. She climbed up his body slowly like a koala. She looked up at him and asked with befuddlement on her chubby face, "Father, Father. Why could Auntie Caroline, Big Sister Amy and Big Sister Annie sleep with you in the restaurant, but Mother and I couldn't?" The restaurant descended into silence immediately. The maidens smiled at Kiddo as they took their seats. They were prepared to watch a good show. Speaking of it, Gina was also his child's mother. She looked like a poor concubine, who was forced out by the wife, by staying outside with the child alone. Although that wasn't the truth, it didn't stop the maidens from watching a good show. Irina also sat down smilingly with an expectant expression. Mag looked slightly embarrassed. He didn't expect the little one to discover it so soon. Gina was blushing too. Kiddo had asked her that question yesterday, but she didn't know how to answer her. Hence, the little one said she would come and ask father herself. Gina didn't expect her to really do it. Kiddo also wants to sleep in the restaurant. I also want to fall asleep to father's story. Before Mag could speak, the little one said that with a pout and looked as though she was going to cry if they didn't do as she said. Mag felt his heart melting. How could this little one be so adorable? He picked her up while shifting his gaze to Irina at the side. Tracheitis 1 was a chronic disease. You won't even know when you caught it. Irina pinched Kiddo's face and indulgently said, "So, Kiddo likes to live in the restaurant? Then, you shall live in the restaurant with your mother from now on." "Oh yeah. I love that I now live in the restaurant." Kiddo hugged Mag's neck and pecked him on his cheek too. "Kiddo, are you deserting your favorite big sister Babla?" Babla looked at Kiddo aggrievedly. Kiddo turned around and said to Babla with a cute voice, "Be good, big sister Babla. You can come and sleep in the restaurant too. I'll ask father to tell you bedtime stories too. If you are afraid, he can even sleep with you." "Forget it." Babla quickly shook her head. She didn't have the guts to ask the boss to sleep with her in front of the lady boss. As a demure princess, she could never say that out loud. "I can do that." Camilla suddenly spoke up lazily. She crossed her legs and leaned back against her chair as she flirtily said to Mag, "My sleep has been very bad lately. I always lose out on my sleep at night. I think I should be able to sleep very well if I get to listen to boss bedtime stories." "That is your species' habits. It has nothing to do with bedtime stories." Mag frowned as he looked at Camilla judgingly. It seemed like this woman was still trying to make trouble. She actually wanted to come and sleep in the restaurant now. Then, his gaze landed on Irina at the side, but Irina didn't say anything. She was just smiling gently as though all of this was none of her business. The maidens revealed a curious expression. Gina had to come to sleep at the restaurant reluctantly, while Babla was just teasing Kiddo. However, Camilla was taking the initiative by requesting to sleep in the restaurant and listen to boss bedtime stories. Therefore, did Camilla and boss have something between them? Different from the others, Camilla had never appeared in front of the customers as Mamie Restaurant's employee. She always left after doing her work and eating her employee's meal before the operation began. If she was only doing it for 3 meals a day, given her status and fortune, she had no problems eating 3 meals at Mamie Restaurant daily. Hence, what was her reason for staying at Mamie Restaurant? Did she love the job of chopping ingredients? It didn't look like it. Looking at it now, she might be lusting after boss body. If not so, why did she ask to stay in the restaurant after Lady Boss came back? Thunderstorms are raging at night lately. I can't sleep at night and I'm afraid of the thunder, Camilla said to Mag daintily and even winked at him. Mag frowned even harder. This woman was very bad. A 9th-tier powerhouse said that she was afraid of thunder? This was a Batwoman who dared to drink fresh blood. We don't have so many rooms in the restaurant. If you want to listen to bedtime stories, I can record a few on the photo stone for you and you can take it back with you, Mag said smilingly. He deliberately emphasized on the word photo stone. Camilla clenched her teeth in anger. Was this fellow still trying to control her with the photo stone? Humph. She might be afraid in the past, but now? Camilla flicked a glance at Caroline. What would happen if Lady Boss knew that Mag had done that to her? Then, I want 2 photo stones and you know what kind. Camilla looked at Mag and extended 2 fingers with a meaningful smile. Mia raised her hand and said, is the sleep-inducing effect that good? Can I have 1 copy too? All right, I'll give them to you later. Mag nodded, pretending not to understand Camilla's underlying meaning. If the photostone's effect isn't good, I will come and sleep on the floor. I don't really care about having a room. There was a hint of cunningness in Camilla's smile. Let's eat. Let's eat. Mag quickly changed the topic as he looked at Irina with the corner of his eyes. Now, he was a little worried that Camilla would try kamikaze. If the photostone's matter was exposed, they would both lose. Although Camilla would be the one to be disgraced, who took the photostone's footage? Who was the sadist? See, didn't that problem land onto him again? Big sister Camilla, our room is huge. If you want to sleep on the floor, you can sleep together with Ugly Duckling. The carpet is super soft too, Amy said generously. Camilla looked at Ugly Duckling, who was crouching on the floor and eating with full concentration, and disdainfully said, I'm not going to sleep with Ugly Duckling. Meow. Ugly Duckling turned around to look at her with disdain and contempt in its eyes too. How dare you look down on me? Camilla was furious. What evil thoughts can a little kitty have? Kiddo said, looking at Ugly Duckling. Ugly Duckling turned around and meowed at her fawningly. Then, let it sleep outside of the door. Kiddo continued. Ugly Duckling. How could she say that? Of course, as a completely domesticated ride, it dared not say anything. It could only look to Amy for help. This was its real mistress. It only let Kiddo ride on it because of its mistress. After pondering for a while, Amy nodded. This is a good idea. Ugly Duckling has been snoring very loudly lately. Ugly Duckling continued eating the meat in its bowl. Yes. Love would indeed disappear. After the lunch service was over, Mag didn't go out. Instead, he went upstairs to have a discussion with the system. He was going to prepare a room for Gina. Gina was already used to sleeping on the bed. He didn't have to prepare another tank for her to sleep in. However, Mag still prepared a separate shower and a huge bathtub for her. The setup was similar to their master bedroom. It could prevent the awkwardness of her having to go to wash up at the common washroom. That was the advantage of having a big house. There was still plenty of unutilized space above the designated hot pot area. Irina stood at the door with her arms across her chest and asked Mag, who was pretending to organize the room, don't we have a lot of space? Why don't you let Camilla move in too? It's inappropriate, Mag answered calmly. What secret do the two of you harbor? Irina walked in and stared straight into Mag's eyes. If we indeed had something going on, either she or I would have been dead by now, right? Mag looked into Irina's eyes calmly. Supreme Master, do you think his breakthrough will affect the internal world of the divine world? Bai Lian asked solemnly as he retreated. Mu Ling fell silent for a moment. Theoretically speaking, a small breakthrough in the way of the sword by a young sovereign would definitely not affect the Path Division's divine world, which was pretty strong. However, theoretically speaking, no one could simply shout a few words and break through on the spot, right? I hope. Mu Ling only uttered 2 words and didn't say anything else. Bai Lian fell into deep thought. He wondered if his Supreme Master's "I hope" meant that it would affect the internal world of the divine world, or that it wouldn't affect it. On the other side, unlike the few people who knew little about the ancient swordsman and hid in the way of the heavens, the scruffy-looking man was petrified in the spatial fragment. The 129,600 golden swords shocked him to the extreme. 9 swords technique, an infinite number. This idiot with an empty brain actually comprehended the first realm of the 9 swords technique? He broke through here. How old is he? As he had taken the princesses of the various races in his restaurant, he had some friendly ties with the various races. Therefore, Mag used those ties to ask the various races to help find some children with exceptional talent. He intended to make them his disciples. The most important point in finding these children was ensuring that they were orphans. The next important criterion was their special abilities, which included speaking gibberish. Orphans would usually lead a difficult life and would not end up as anything great. They would most likely not become a god. Mag did not know what the specific special abilities were. However, that must be an included clause. Otherwise, the restaurant might become an ordinary orphanage. As for gibberish, Mag thought that since these gods had reincarnated, they might have some memories and flashbacks, and that would make them display acts of abnormal behavior and gibberish. Often, there was only a fine difference between a genius and a lunatic. Of course, that was on top of the first 2 clauses. That would prevent his place from becoming a mental institute. It should probably be easy to obtain news with Alex's identity, right? Irina asked Mag, who was sealing the envelope. As long as it is something Alex wants to find, everyone will look for it. When that time comes, even if we find them, we might not be able to bring them away as and when we want. Mag. Alex shook his head with a smile. However, I can notify Michael about this. Right now, the only thing that we can trust is Chaos City, which is the most hopeful place in maintaining the current peaceful status. Irina nodded slightly. I will get the Night Elves to collect intelligence and news. Actually, I am more worried about the Elder Things finding out about this. Mag had a worried look as he placed the sealed envelope aside. You don't think the Elder Things will let all these gods go? The Elder Things top the Norland continent holistically, be it in technology or the upper limit. If large numbers of gods reincarnate, and there might even be a chance that they would regain their divinity, the underground city's combat advantage will be gone. It's impossible that the gods do not know about the existence of the underground world and the Elder Things. In a world where the different forces are balanced, it would be more improbable to maintain an equilibrium forever, because that would be threatening to each other, Mag said with a deep voice. Irina stayed silent for a while before saying self-mockingly, I intended to retire after the Night Elves could stand on their own. Now it looks like there's still a long way to go. Mag got up and walked towards Irina. He held her in his arms and said gently, Don't worry. I can settle all these things. Irina looked up at him and smiled. How can you stand out on your own? After sending the letters out, Mag had nothing to do in the afternoon, so he organized the dishes that he had already mastered but had yet to launch. The space in the kitchen was already getting tight, and Mag did not intend to add a pastry room. He had thought of launching the mousse cake in the ice cream shop. Anyway, the mousse cake had to be eaten chilled. It could be launched as a new product of the ice cream shop, and that would not only increase the variety of the menu, it would also expand the shop's customer base. That would be killing two birds with one stone. Since he thought of that, he acted on it straight away. Mag went into the kitchen and made 5 mousse cakes. He placed them in a cooler box and delivered them straight to the ice cream shop. Mia, who was passing an ice cream to a child, saw Mag walk in and asked in shock, "Boss, what brings you here?" Chapter 2371 Today's new product, Mango Mousse. Then, the ice cream shop was opened. It became the wealthy lady's first choice. Most of the children were in school right now, so the ice cream shop wasn't too boisterous. The ice cream shop's sophisticated environment, together with the tasty ice cream, which was a dessert that couldn't be found anywhere else, were naturally highly sought after by the wealthy ladies. Some wealthy ladies would even bring along their children that were not going to school yet. They would give them an ice cream and ask Gina to help watch over them so that they could have a leisurely afternoon. Many wealthy ladies greeted Mag when they saw him come in. They were also looking at the big box in Mag's hands curiously. Mag smiled in response. They were the restaurant's regulars and he knew all of them. "I've made some cake and I'm going to release it as today's new product." Mag placed the cooler box on the counter. New product. The customers all looked over at the box next to Mag with their beautiful eyes. They wondered what kind of cake it was. Cake. Mia's eyes lit up. "Is it that sweet and soft dessert that we had on Amy's birthday previously?" Soft and sweet. Just these 2 points alone had easily won over the wealthy ladies. "Is it some kind of ice cream?" "It sounds like a pastry, but I don't know what kind it is." "Anything that Boss Mag releases must be good." "I didn't expect the new product to be in the ice cream shop instead of at Mamie restaurant." The wealthy ladies were having an enthusiastic discussion. They were very curious about the new product that Mag brought over. "Yes. I made a mango mousse cake today." Mag nodded. He opened the cooler box and took out a golden-colored cake. The golden glazed layer of cake was almost glistening while the cake below was a mellow custard yellow. Its round shape looked rather adorable. "It looks quite cute." Gulp. "I want to eat it." The wealthy ladies already began to swallow their saliva. "Wow! It looks different from the previous one." Mia's eyes lit up too. She was surprised that Boss was releasing the new product at the ice cream shop. She thought the ice cream shop would only sell ice cream and not release any more new products. Babla's eyes were wide open as she said to Mag with a gentle and pleading voice, "Boss, can I reserve 1 piece please? I love mangoes." Mag glanced at Babla and smiled. Speaking of which, Babla had contributed greatly when they were sealing up the great old one previously. He hadn't rewarded her yet, so he took the cake out of the box and cut it into 16 identical pieces. "There you go." He took a plate and gave Babla a piece of the cake. One could clearly see the layers of the cut-open cake. The topmost layer was the glaze made of mango puree and the lower layer of the cake was the mango mousse mixed with tiny cubes of mangoes. The faint aroma of the milk and mangoes began to spread out. The smooth cutting skills preserved the cake's structure and it looked just like a well-crafted artwork. Furthermore, it only presented itself fully after it was cut open. "Thank you, boss." Babla happily went to the side with the cake. She used a small spoon to pop the cake into her mouth. Her expression lit up instantly as though a golden glow had fallen onto her face. It was a blissful surprise. It was a pleasant enjoyment. Babla felt that she was going to scream uncontrollably. This was simply too delicious. It was a gentle bite. The cooling sensation and the texture that melted as soon as it entered the mouth. It wasn't as cold as the ice cream. It was a gentle coolness and a sweetness soon followed after it. It was sweet but not overly sweet, as the mango entered the stage soon after. The unique and fragrant mango aroma brought along the mango's natural taste. Before the mousse could melt in the mouth completely, the little cubes of mango created an amazing chewing experience. The rice grain-sized mango cubes didn't feel abrupt in the soft mousse cake. Instead, they created a lovely experience as they burst with juice as one chewed. It pushed the entire experience into a climax. Babla couldn't help but make a gentle moan. She snapped her legs together instinctively. Oh! This experience was simply too exquisite. Gulp sounds of gulping could be heard in the shop. The maidens behind the counter were included as well. Father, I want to eat that too. Kiddo ran over and climbed up Mag's leg. There was anticipation written all over her face. There you go. Eat it yourself. Mag gave a piece of cake to the little one carefully. Thank you, Father, Kiddo said adorably before stumbling over to a small table to enjoy her dessert. Now, the wealthy ladies in the shop couldn't remain seated anymore. Boss Mag, are you selling this sea cake? Bonnie asked. Even though the other wealthy ladies were not saying anything, their expressions had said everything. They were extremely interested in this mango mousse cake. Mag had a deep impression of Bonnie, who was Vicenio's very fierce wife. He nodded and smilingly said, yes. This is the new product released in the ice cream shop today, mango mousse. It's 199 per helping and limited to 1 helping per person. No takeaway is allowed. Mia quickly wrote down one notice on the little blackboard at the side, today's new product, mango mousse. Price, 199 copper coins. Limit 1 per customer. No takeaway. Mia hung the little blackboard next to the price tag as an ordering guide. Bonnie raised her hand and said, then, I would like to order 1 helping. I would like to have 1 too. I would like to have 1 too. The wealthy ladies began to place their orders. In a time and place where there were no fake socialites, all the ladies who ordered the 199 dessert on the spot, were real socialites. All right. Please wait for a moment. Mia acknowledged with a smile before noting the ordering sequence down quickly and sending them their cakes. There were only 6 pieces left out of the 5 cakes. The rest were all ordered by the wealthy ladies and the children present. It's so delicious. It has completely subverted my imagination on cakes. What magic did Boss Mag do to make it so soft and sweet, and yet full of the mango's fragrance? This is simply unbelievable. The wealthy ladies heaped praises on it while the children used their actions to demonstrate their love for this dessert. More than one child had licked their plate clean. Chapter 2372 Shall we share one? Boss Mag, will the ice cream shop continue to serve mango mousse cake tomorrow? Bonnie asked Mag expectantly. The other customers in the shop looked at Mag with anticipation in their eyes too. Yes. From tomorrow onwards, the ice cream shop will supply about 300 helpings of mango mousse cake daily. Mag nodded with a smile. Supplying 20 mango mousse cakes daily was an appropriate quantity. Because, he would be supplying tiramisu and matcha mousse in the future. In this case, the supply would reach 1,000 helpings. Even though the quantity wasn't as much as the ice cream, it was still a lot. 300 helpings. A gleam flashed through the wealthy ladies' eyes. Although they had maintained the decorum on their faces, they were already planning inwardly to come over earlier tomorrow to have this scrumptious cake again. Will Mamie restaurant have this cake too? Someone asked again. No. This is a dessert that is only supplied to the ice cream shop. You can't find it anywhere else on the Norland continent. Mag shook his head smilingly. All right. Please enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Mag left the ice cream shop with his cooler box. However, he wasn't in a hurry to go home. Instead, he went to the empty house behind the ice cream shop. He was thinking about how much space he would need to have renovated in order to convert it into a dessert workshop for making cakes and sweet treats. He had handed the ice cream shop over to Mia and she had done a great job. Their daily earnings and profits were very high. Hence, he intended to impart his cake-making skills to Mia too and let her take complete charge of the desserts. And to answer the customer's request for a new product, Mag put up a new product notice after he returned to the restaurant. Today's new product, steamed large yellow croaker. Hira turned around and smilingly said to Melly excitedly, "We're in luck today. We happened to bump into Teacher Mag releasing a new product. We have to try it today. Speaking of which, this is my second time eating at Mamie restaurant. It's too expensive and the lines are always too long." Melly's pretty face looked tired. Her dark eye circles were especially obvious. She forced herself to smile, but she looked worried and wasn't too enthusiastic. Instead, she worriedly said, "Hira, do you think the children in our class will do badly for next month's monthly math test? I always sense that they don't really understand what I am explaining." "Don't worry about that. I've just heard Teacher SAHDR praise you for giving very good lessons 2 days ago. The children like you too." Hira patted her shoulders and said with a smile, "Furthermore, the principal had said that the monthly test is just to let the children get used to learning and testing. It isn't a test on the teachers. You don't have to be so nervous. How can we not care about our students' results as teachers? Am I holding my students back if their results are much worse than the other teachers' students?" Melly pursed her lips with gravity and hesitation. Hira looked at Melly with a little exasperation. Melly and her had become good friends after spending a lot of time together. Even though Melly was a rich young mistress with an excellent family background, she was overly responsible towards the children. She would prepare the children's lesson plans until midnight every day. And, after the principal announced that there would be a monthly test next month 2 days ago, she hadn't had a good sleep for a few days due to being overly worried. "Don't worry. The children are attending school for the first time and they need time to adjust to many things. No one will blame you if the children don't do well for their monthly tests." Hira hugged Melly's arm and smilingly said, "I have taken 1 month's advance of wages from my father. It will be on me today. Let me treat you to large yellow croaker." Melly glanced at her and couldn't help saying with a laugh, "You have only started working for a few days and you have already taken 3 months' advance of wages, right?" Hira stuck out her tongue and said matter-of-factly, "This is because of the trainee teacher's low pay. Actually, it isn't much. We won't even have time to spend money when the school gets busy." "That's quite true." Melly nodded. Her purchasing power had dropped sharply too. Even though the school didn't dictate the teacher's attire, they knew that they had to dress sensibly to impart the right values to the students. Hence, all their fancy clothes were locked away in the closet. They even reduced the times that they came to eat at Mamie restaurant. If Hira hadn't asked her to come today, she would have had a simple meal at the school canteen before continuing to prepare her lessons. Hira enthusiastically told Melly about the interesting matters that had happened recently. Melly simply answered carelessly. Her mind was still on the teaching plans. The long-awaited new product finally entered the market. It was met with great enthusiasm and expectation from the restaurant's regulars. Fish was one of Mag's specialties. With the steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers and the spicy grilled fish as great examples, many of them were looking forward to the steamed large yellow croaker. "Should I eat the spicy grilled fish or the steamed large yellow croaker today? It's such a dilemma." Vivian stood at the back of the line with a hesitant look. She came alone today, so she most probably couldn't finish 2 fishes by herself and that wouldn't look good. She looked around her and soon found 2 familiar figures in the crowd. Her eyes glowed. The restaurant was open and Mag welcomed the customers in with a smile. Vivian sat opposite of Hira and Melly with a smile as soon as they sat down. "Hira, Teacher Melly, what a coincidence. Are you two eating at Mamie restaurant too?" Both Hira and Melly looked at Vivian, lost for words. "Teacher Vivian, you're also here for dinner. We didn't see you earlier," Hira said with surprise. She was in charge of the school's administrative work. Although she wasn't close to Vivian, they knew each other well enough. Melly only nodded her head as a greeting. She wasn't very familiar with Vivian. She only knew that Vivian was the city lord's daughter and was on great terms with the principal. She was most probably an employee, with connections, right? I was lining up behind you two earlier, but I only recognized the two of you after I came in. I came alone, so can I sit with the two of you? Vivian asked with a smile. Of course, you can. Hira nodded. Melly nodded too. Mamie restaurant had a tradition of sharing tables. Compared to eating with complete strangers, Vivian was definitely a better choice. Vivian flipped open the menu and her gaze soon landed on that golden steamed large yellow croaker under the seafood column. Her eyes glowed before seeing that equally golden price, 5,000 copper coins per fish. Vivian pushed the menu over to the two of them and smilingly asked, "This steamed large yellow croaker doesn't seem bad. Shall we share one?" Chapter 2373 The Glittering Large Yellow Croaker. And the three young ladies present knew one another's background very well. The Hope School's teacher's salary was only 3,000 to 5,000 monthly. It was enough to eat a spicy grilled fish, but definitely not enough to eat a large yellow croaker. Of course, they wouldn't have entered this restaurant if they had to live on their salary. Melly looked at the golden large yellow croaker on the menu. She still wasn't very excited about it, but seeing that her two colleagues were so excited about it, she nodded too. I think we should. Vivian smiled even brighter. She turned to order from Mia, who had just walked over to them. She also ordered a spicy grilled fish for herself. Mamie restaurant was the only place where she could taste the new product while eating her favorite spicy grilled fish at the same time. Why, you ordered 2 fishes? Hira, who was about to order 2 more dishes, looked at Vivian with shock. Yes. I love to eat spicy grilled fish. I will order it every time I come to Mamie restaurant. Vivian nodded with a smile before emphasizing, I only ordered it for myself. Do you want it as well? Hira immediately shook her head. It's fine for us. We'll have the steamed large yellow croaker for a fish dish. We intend to order 1 helping of red braised pork and 1 helping of the eggplant with garlic sauce to eat with the rice. Vivian nodded and didn't say anything else. As the new product, the steamed large yellow croaker attracted a lot of attention from the customers. However, the shiny price of 5,000 copper coins stopped many customers. This was the most expensive dish on Mamie restaurant's menu currently, other than the Buddha jumps over the wall which could cure baldness. Many customers could afford it, but as usual, they wanted someone brave to test out the expensive new product first. Hence, when Vivian ordered the steamed large yellow croaker, everyone gave her an appreciative look. Mia acknowledged her with a smile. She was already used to the customers' behavior. She reported the large yellow croaker's order to the back kitchen. The steamed large yellow croaker was a great delicacy. She had already tasted it during their previous island trip. That extreme fresh umami was completely different from the spicy grilled fish and the steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers. Mag, who long noticed the 3 Hope School teachers sitting at the same table, lamented that the rich had all gone to be teachers nowadays as he grabbed a live large yellow croaker from the tank and began to process it. There was only 1 large yellow croaker in the semi-transparent tank. The tank will replenish 1 large yellow croaker after one was removed to ensure that every one of them was freshly supplied to the restaurant's back kitchen from the deep sea directly. Wild large yellow croaker was also a precious seafood in his previous life. The live top grade 1 kilogram large yellow croaker with golden scales in Mag's hand could easily fetch tens of copper coins. And in Mamie restaurant, you could easily taste a steamed large yellow croaker made by a top chef with just 5,000 copper coins. This was a very reasonable price, okay. The processed large yellow croaker was being put aside to marinate simply before being steamed in the pot. The very best ingredient usually only needed the most simple form of cooking. A live top grade ingredient like the large yellow croaker didn't need a lot of side ingredients to suppress its fishiness or a lot of condiments to complement its taste. A golden large yellow croaker was done after being steamed in the specially made steaming pot for 3 minutes. Mag cut the fish open at the back and placed it on the plate with its belly still joined together. The large yellow croaker's dense scales weren't removed and they were still giving out a glaring golden glow after being steamed. After scattering some shredded ginger and chopped green onions over it, the aroma began to spread. When Yabimiya brought the steamed large yellow croaker out from the kitchen, a beam of light happened to fall onto the large yellow croaker on the tray, and the glaring beam made everyone in the restaurant widen their eyes. The large yellow croaker's enticing aroma made the customers sitting near the aisle almost unable to swallow their saliva. Different from the strong aroma of the spicy grilled fish, the steamed large yellow croaker's aroma was milder, like a well-bred lady who only revealed her shoulders. It made people feel comfortable yet unable to stop salivating at the same time. Yabimiya put the fish in front of Vivian and the ladies and smilingly said, "Your steamed large yellow croaker. Wow! It looks good. There is actually such a pretty fish." A golden light was reflected in Hira's eyes. "It looks rather bland." Vivian was a little hesitant. As the spicy grilled fish's loyal fan, Vivian really felt that this steamed large yellow croaker without a single piece of chili looked rather bland. She wondered if she would like it. She even wondered if the fishiness could be suppressed. Melly, who looked rather dejected at first, moved her nostrils. Her eyes glowed when she saw the intricately plated and colorful large yellow croaker. Her sleep and appetite had been bad due to stress lately. Looking at the large yellow croaker that looked so beautiful, and smelling that fresh umami, she began to salivate. Hira picked up her chopsticks and asked the other two people, "Shall we taste it?" "Of course." Vivian also picked up her chopsticks. Since the dish was already served, there was no way she wasn't going to try it. Anyway, she still had one spicy grilled fish coming. "Let's try it." Melly nodded. She picked up a piece of fish meat near to the tail with her chopsticks. The small scales fell away as soon as they were touched, revealing the tender and white fish meat. She dipped the meat in the sauce on the plate before feeding it into her mouth. Melly's calm face froze instantly before making an unbelievable expression. This fish meat had a very fresh and tender texture. It was rich and full of umami, smooth and refreshing. The savory sauce didn't cover the fish's umami. The tender fish meat had an extreme sweetness. This looked like a very simple dish with its steaming method and minimum condiments and spices. However, it was this simple cooking method that had perfectly displayed the umami of this large yellow croaker. The taste buds seemed to be caressed by the spring rain. The tender fish meat transformed into a warm stream and flowed into the stomach through the throat. Then, as though threads of weird sensations began to rise to her head, it made her relax her tensed-up nerves. Melly tried to control her agitated voice as she praised it. "This incredible taste! This fish should have come straight from the sea, right? It's so scrumptious. The taste is light, but it is extremely fresh and sweet. I never expected that there is actually a fish that is so delicious." Hira was also full of praise for the large yellow croaker, and she looked at it with surprise. "Is this plain-looking steamed fish really so delicious?" Vivian murmured inwardly. She also popped a piece of fish meat into her mouth. The sauce's light savory taste triggered the taste buds' interest first before the tender fish meat entered the stage. Different from the experience of the spicy grilled fish's crispy exterior and tender interior, the large yellow croaker was more gentle and delicate. It showcased the fish meat's freshness to the extreme. It was a scrumptious taste that made the taste buds cheer and the body excited. Vivian picked up her second piece of fish and marveled, "This is simply awesome. He actually used the steaming method to make such a delicious fish. He is indeed Boss Mag." Although the three beautiful ladies maintained their restraints and demureness, they couldn't hide their love and praises for this steamed large yellow croaker. The customers who were watching around them, gulped. Someone soon began to place their orders. "Light, fresh, marine fish." To those customers who couldn't take the spiciness of the spicy grilled fish and steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers, this yellow croaker had made up for their regret of not being able to enjoy a fish dish. The price tag of 5,000 copper coins wasn't cheap, but there was never a lack of rich people in Mamie restaurant. One steamed large yellow croaker after another was sent out from the kitchen and delivered to the customers' tables, causing a series of praises. Vivian's spicy grilled fish was sent to her table after she ate half of that steamed large yellow croaker. Vivian's attention was diverted as she enthusiastically said, "Let's eat this spicy grilled fish together. It has more kick." Vivian didn't have much interaction with Hira and Melly before this, but her experience of sharing the same table with them wasn't bad, and the simple interaction deepened their understanding of one another, making them closer than before. Let's share our food." Hira nodded with a smile. The red braised pork and the eggplant with garlic sauce that they ordered were also served. As for the large yellow croaker, only its clean bones were left now. Melly smiled too, her current state was much more relaxed. Vivian ate a few bites of the spicy grilled fish and took a big gulp of the ice water before enviously saying to Melly, who was nibbling on the red braised pork, "Melly, I heard that you're great at teaching the children. I passed by the principal's office yesterday and I overheard the senior teachers praising your capabilities." "Are really?" Melly's chopsticks halted as she looked up at Vivian with disbelief. "Yes. They said that you're very responsible, which is very rare among the young teachers." Vivian nodded with conviction. Melly blushed, but she couldn't hide her happy smile as she shook her head and said, "I simply do what I am supposed to do." Hira winked at her and smilingly said, "Teehee. I said that you don't have to worry, right? Everyone can see what you are doing. You don't have to worry about next month's test now, either." After eating dinner, the three of them bade farewell to one another at the door. Melly boarded the horse-drawn carriage. She lifted a corner of the curtain. The cooling spring breeze blew onto her face, but it couldn't blow away her smile. That night, she had a great sleep. It was a rare night without any dreams. She only felt comfortable and full of energy when she opened her eyes the next morning. Sitting in front of her dressing table's mirror, she was surprised that her dark eye circles were missing and she felt rejuvenated like a young maiden. Is sleep indeed the best aesthetic medicine? Melly caressed her cheeks with her hand and smiled confidently. "Hello, Teacher Melly." Melly, who had been troubled by insomnia and frustration, finally got rid of these two things after having a good sleep. "Perhaps, it was because I ate the large yellow croaker." Melly tilted her head and thought. The only unusual thing she did yesterday was going to eat the large yellow croaker at Mamie restaurant. Melly tied her hair up and changed into a smart black long robe before going to the school confidently. "Teacher Melly, you seem so energetic today." "Teacher Melly, you look so beautiful today." Melly received heaps of compliments on her way to school from both teachers and children. That made Melly's smile even more confident. She even thought that the beautiful sun felt even warmer on her face. Hira walked out of the office with a stack of documents and her eyes lit up when she saw Melly. "Oh, my heavens! Melly, you look beautiful today. It's like you're a whole new person. Seems like you had a good sleep last night." "Hira, you looked beautiful today too," Melly said with a smile before going closer to her and whispering, "Let's go to Mamie restaurant for dinner again tonight. It'll be my treat." Hira nodded profusely. Mag's God of Cookery's advanced class had become the Hope School's students' hottest topic in the past 2 days. The children in the advanced class had turned Mag into a legend after seeing his extraordinary culinary skills and tasting the scrumptious Yangzhou fried rice. Furthermore, the majestic God of Cookery's building had become many children's holy land, as getting into the God of Cookery's advanced class meant being able to taste the most delicious food in this world. The registration for the first term was over and the next registration would be 1 month later. Many children had already decided to eat more and build up their strength. The God of Cookery's advanced class was the most difficult practical course to enroll into in Hope School. This had become the children's common consensus. Hence, those children who had got into the 32 people name list became the object of envy for many. "Beck, tell me again, how delicious was that Yangzhou fried rice?" A few preteens crowded around Beck and looked at him expectantly. Beck scratched his head shyly. "Didn't I say it a few times yesterday?" Maybe I shouldn't say it anymore. Please say it. We want to listen to it to relieve our cravings. Yes. I was drooling when I listened to it yesterday. I dreamt that I tucked into it last night and it was so satisfying. The children hurried him with a chuckle. Beck looked around him. Seeing that his classmates were so enthusiastic, he couldn't reject them, so he cleared his throat and said, "The Young Joe fried rice is made with 10 ingredients. There are the prawns that are the size of an arm, savory ham. After the eye-dazzling stir-frying, a helping of Young Joe fried rice that looks as colorful as the rainbow and smells fantastic, can finally be served. A spoon is used to scoop it into the mouth. The eggs almost melt away instantly. The winter bamboo shoots and green beans that are cut into the size of a rice grain are crunchy and tasty. The rice that is covered by the egg tastes sweet after chewing. The soft ham is mixed into the rice and it seems to have the prawns taste too. All kinds of tastes are in that one mouthful. With just one bite, the entire body feels warm and the rice's fragrance lingers in the mouth. It's simply awesome." Gulp. Chapter 2375 An A Artifact. And everyone began to look at Beck with an increasingly envious gaze. He was the only lucky one to be selected by Teacher Mag in their class. Moreover, he obviously didn't meet the height requirement. He was given special permission to enroll in the God of Cookery's advanced class by Teacher Mag. "Beck, when will Teacher Mag recruit new students again?" a child asked. The other children were also looking at Beck expectantly. "I don't know about that, either." Beck shook his head. "But, there are still a lot of cooking benches that are vacant in the training center. I guess Teacher Mag would continue to take in more students." The students were a little disappointed. His answer was very vague. "Then, have you already learned how to cook the Young Joe fried rice, Beck? Can you help us?" another student asked. The children all turned to look at Beck. "I haven't learned how to make it yet." Beck shook his head, but there was a confident smile on his face. "But, I will definitely learn how to do it one day. Please let me be the first person to eat it after you've learned how to do it. This pen is a gift for you." The little fatty who sat with Beck pushed a pen into his hands. He was already beginning to bribe him. Beck looked at the pen in his hands. This was the pen that his desk mate didn't even want to lend to him yesterday, but he was giving it to him so generously right now. "This eraser is for you. I drew this painting. It's yours now." This was the first time that Beck had ever felt so popular. This feeling was not bad. The bell for class rang and the students returned to their seats. Beck stared at the small pile of gifts in front of him. In addition to being touched, he also decided to focus on learning to cook properly and become a great chef so that his classmates could have a chance to taste the food. "Babla, how is your class today?" Yabimiya asked curiously at the lunch table. The ladies who were about to tuck in, all turned to look at Babla. "Don't remind me about it. I hung 2 naughty children upside for one period and one of them seemed to get a grasp of spatial magic. However, he wasn't very gifted, so most probably he would just be a server in a restaurant." Babla sighed gently with a hint of exasperation. "Isn't that just perfect? He can take over after you retire," Caroline said seriously. Babla cocked her eyebrow and quickly shook her head. "That brat's level is way below a server. You can forget about him, lady boss." "What about you, Shirley?" Mag looked at Shirley. "I had 3 extra children at the last minute. They were not bad as they were down to earth and willing to learn," Shirley said calmly and gently. "People usually describe those children who are not gifted as down to earth and hard-working. Because other than that, there is not much to praise them with," Babla smilingly said to Shirley. "Hey, it's only your first day at teaching and you have already gotten this glib-tongued." Shirley replied with a serious expression, "Being down-to-earth and hard-working have always been excellent qualities to me. To become an excellent archer, one has to learn down-to-earthly and practice hard-workingly." Kiddo put down her spoon, licked her lips and seriously said to Shirley, "Big sister Shirley, can kiddo learn archery too?" A gentle smile appeared on Shirley's face. "I'll teach kiddo about archery once you are older." Kiddo pouted her lips and replied, "No, kiddo wants to learn it right now. Kiddo wants to shoot a big swan while riding Ugly Duckling." Ugly Duckling, who was concentrating on eating, shrugged and faced another direction, pretending not to hear anything. Shirley looked at Mag with a helpless expression. "Kiddo can't really use a bow and arrows now. We'll get big sister Shirley to bring you hunting when you are older." Mag patted Kiddo's head with a smile. She was not even as tall as a bow, so it was indeed difficult for Shirley to teach her about archery. "Hunting? You don't need to learn how to shoot an arrow to hunt. Kiddo, you can also kill monsters if you learn magic from your big sister." Amy held one chicken drumstick with her right hand while lifting her left hand up. An icy blue ice arrow quickly took shape and it flew out of the half-open window in a flash with a gentle flick of her fingers. Kiddo's eyes were wide open as she clapped and marveled. "Wow! Big sister Amy is so awesome." Amy's wish of being a teacher was greatly satisfied. She took a bite of the drumstick before saying, "This is, in fact, very easy. You only have to follow what I do. Stare at your palm and imagine an ice arrow. Then, you shout loudly, 'Manifest,' and it will appear." Everyone. Was that something that could be achieved with imagination? Kiddo extended her left hand and stared at her little palm with a grave expression. Mag and Irina exchanged glances with a hint of alert. "Manifest!" Kiddo called out adorably. The ice arrow didn't appear. Instead, a golden trident appeared on Kiddo's palm. A powerful presence was emitted from that trident, making everyone present turn ashen. What is that?" Camilla exclaimed. She could sense a terrible presence from this trident and it was a fear from the depths of her soul. "An artifact." Babla stood up suddenly and stared at that trident with disbelief. She had only sensed such a scary presence from the white jade staff hidden in the Moon Nation's palace before. Apparently, that artifact was found in the ruins of the Holy Land and passed down through generations of the Moon Nation's rulers. It appeared again. Mag was shocked too. This wasn't the first time that he had seen this trident, but the gigantic trident disappeared after it shrunk and merged into Kiddo's body. He didn't expect it to be summoned out by Kiddo accidentally. "Wow! An arrow with 3 arrowheads." Kiddo's eyes lit up and she turned in an attempt to throw this trident out. "Wait a sec." Mag immediately stopped her. His restaurant would most probably be razed to the ground if this baby was thrown out. That was nothing. The crux was that there were many Chaos City's powerhouses lining up out there right now. If they witnessed this scene, Kiddo's identity couldn't be concealed any longer. "Kiddo, let's put this away first. Father will bring you guys to go hunting beyond the city when the restaurant is closed a few days later," Mag said softly as he guarded against the little one, in case she threw the trident out suddenly. "But, Kiddo wants to try throwing it out." Kiddo looked at the 1-meter-long golden trident on her palm enthusiastically.